And we get the win, but we want to come in here and play hard and not beat ourselves.
Okay, thanks a lot, head coach Ralph Mccully. Now over to my left, Terry Horan making his debut as Cobber coach. You're only the third coach in 60 years, and you finally get to quit practicing and get to put on the pads. Well, not you, but the team gets to put on the pads and play. It's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. You know, it's an honor to be the third coach in the last 60-some years. This is a great tradition. Our kids are very excited about the opportunity we have with Moorhead State today. It's just a great game for everyone in the community and around the surrounding area.
All right, thanks a lot, Terry, and we'll hear from both coaches later and throughout the game. Dan, back to you.
The series began back in 1920. The most recent long winning streak was by the Cobbers. That was back in the early 70s when they won 4 consecutive games, and today the Dragons look to win their 4th consecutive in the series. We're live today from Jake Christensen Field, the Cobbers and the Dragons. More in the
for many years, and Jim Christopherson, it's great to have you in the broadcast booth working this game after being the head coach of the Cobbers for 32 years and having been associated with this series for many years. Good to have you with us, Jim.
Thank you, Dan, and I'm just as excited about this game today as a broadcaster as I was as assistant coach or head coach over all those years, because there's so much excitement around this game. It's probably our game here and the UND-NDSU game are 2 of the biggest rivalries in the country. So it's a great day to kick off the season.
Jim, one of the most favorite topics of conversations floating around Cobber camp and with Cobber fans this year is just how much will the X's and O's change with the Cobbers now that Terry Horan has taken over?
Well, Terry played at Concordia and then came back and was an assistant coach for 2 years. Obviously, he'll bring in some of his thinking and new ideas, and yet his entire staff is intact from last year. So they're not going to make a great deal of change because we didn't have spring football last year. So then as years progress, we're going to see changes gradually in the program.
As you see, the team's captains are gathering at midfield for the coin toss, and we'll go and bring you that.
The game, we'll try and continue it all the way through. Good sportsmanship both ways. I'm going to protect the quarterbacks both ways. Other than that, play hard, have fun, good sportsmanship. Who's going to call it for the visitors? Number 34 is calling. What are you going to call? Okay, we've got a heads call. I'm going to toss it and catch it. If I drop it, we'll do it again. Heads is call. It is a head. White, you won the toss. They would like to receive. Cobbers, which direction would you like to kick? Defend this goal. We'll spin around this way, guys. White has won the toss and elected to receive. Concordia will kick in this direction.
Well, as you see, the Dragons win the toss and they will take the football. The Dragons will operate heading in to the easterly direction. The series history, well, as we told you earlier, this is a series that began back in 1920. Woodrow Wilson was the president back at that time. If we take a look at the Cobbers from a year ago, they were 4-5 in the MIAC and 4-6 overall, an uncharacteristic sub-500 for the Cobbers. But the Dragons were also sub-500 a year ago. They were 2-6 in the NSIC and 3-8 overall. The current conditions, mostly sunny, 62 degrees. The wind, Jim, it might play a factor today. It's out of the north at 16 miles an hour, and that will likely create a crosswind here at Jake Christensen Field.
The stadium protects the throwing, I think, in the middle of the field, and it would affect Concordia a little bit more than Moorhead State. I think Moorhead State's going to come out and try to run the football and get their option offense going. Interestingly, they chose to receive. Many times when you win the toss, you defer till the second half to see the situation. You send your defense on the field right away, but they apparently want to get their offense going and see what they can do against the Cobber defense right away and establish them.
Well, both these teams have new quarterbacks at the helm this year. The Dragons, as we're going to see on offense first here in a bit, last year replaced Pete Herman with Brad Deere, and he enters fall camp and enters this game as the starter as you take a look at Ralph Mccully in his 9th year. And of course the Cobbers just within the last week named Ryan Hebrink, the sophomore from Renville, as their starting quarterback. So the Cobbers to kick it to the Dragons here. And the kicking game also an area to watch today because there have been wholesale changes from both these teams in the kicking game. Jeremy Hinder will handle the kicking for the Cobbers, and Power Bowl 3 is underway, and the Dragons field the ball at their own 8-yard line, and it's brought out across the 25 to the 30 to the 42-yard line, and a fine return by Chad Wide, the sophomore from Brainerd, Minnesota, but outstanding field position for the Dragons to begin this football game.
Good way to start the game to have that kind of field position.
Brad Deere, a junior out of Boston, Minnesota. His older brother, Tony Deere, quarterback the Cobbers. He's 5'11", 200 pounds, and this is an option offense for the Dragons as they begin with a lone back, 2 receivers to the near side of the field, and 1 and 2 to the far side. The running back, Cody Wang, in motion. Deere, option keeper, inside the 50, and inside the 45-yard line. Tough running by Tony Deere.
He's going to be a big part of their offense, and I think Concordia has to contain Brad Deere because over the last few years, his older brother, did a lot of damage to Concordia running the football.
Well, the Dragons really spread out the Cobbers defense on that look as we take a look at the Wells Fargo Dragons starting lineup. The backs and receivers, Ellevold, Wang, Pekowski, Davison, and Swanson. Ellevold and Swanson are the returners in that group. And there's the offensive line, the lone starter returning is Jeremy Johannes. So Deere gained a first down in his first carry. Wang again in motion to give us to Ellevold, the fullback, and he's dragged down after about a 2-yard gain. In on the stop for the Cobbers there was Andy Schaffer, the linebacker.
Moorhead State has diversified their offense in the last couple of years with a little more double slot or double with a wing on one side and a slot on the other. It used to be a split back veer type of team and some I formation, but they spread it out a little bit more now.
The Cobbers defensive line, of course, the major loss from last year, Mark Henkel, the school's career sack leader. Bennett and Holm are the returning starters along the defensive line for the Cobbers. And the Dragons operate on a 2nd and 8 from the Cobbers' 42-yard line. Swanson, the receiver, in motion to the near side of the field, and the pass is complete at the 32. It's caught there by the Dragons' Chad Davison, a sophomore out of Tinta, Minnesota.
That's a series Concordia will have to worry about. It's kind of a lead option type of play, only there's a pass on it, so it holds the linebackers in secondary momentarily, and then they'll come out and run the option off that series as well.
There are the Cobber linebackers. Travis Olson, arguably the best athlete on this football team, was lost during fall camp. He would have been one of those linebackers. Another first down for the Dragons. Here's the pitch to Cody Wang. He tries to get to the corner, but a fine tackle made there by Josh Vickerman. Good open field tackle by the cornerback.
Concordia can defend the option if they don't have to worry as much about the passing game, and we'll see how that ties in as the game goes on and how Brad Deere throws the ball.
Vickerman is the lone returning starter in that Cobbers secondary. Baki, Bjerke, and Satterley round out the secondary for Concordia. So the Dragons lost a yard on that fine open field tackle by Vickerman. Deere cuts it up on the option, and he picks up about 5 yards on the play inside the 30-yard line. Bjerke making the stop for the Cobbers.
It'll be interesting to see if Deere will go on to the third option, that is pitch the ball to his back as time goes on, because he likes to run the football himself.
Well, Brad Deere entered the season last year in the 4th game of the year against Minnesota Crookston and went on to start 7 games for the Dragons. Ralph Mccully will tell you at the beginning of last season that the Dragons really didn't know what kind of offensive team they wanted to be with Tate Hurt, but with Brad Deere, they're definitely an option football team. Wang this time, trying to cut it up, met by a host of Cobber defenders, and the first one there was Adam Baki. The senior cornerback from Walker, Minnesota.
Okay, 4th and 5. Looks like the field goal team is coming in here. That's a fairly long field goal, about 42 yards. Keep in mind that if the field goal misses, the ball comes back to the line of scrimmage when the ball is outside the 20-yard line.
It will be a 42-yard field goal attempt for Clint Greer. freshman from Dickinson, Minnesota. The holder is Scott Swanson, the receiver. Snap is down, and the kick is going to be wide to the right. No, it's good. Boy, a bad angle from our vantage point here.
Had a low trajectory on the ball, but it's just enough distance there to clear the crossbar.
A 42-yard field goal by the freshman. Clint Greer gets the Dragons on the board. So they take good field position and cash in with 3 points, and they have the early lead in Power Bowl 3.
Every day, Verizon Wireless connects more people in more places than any other wireless company, all on the country's largest wireless network. So you'll know that virtually any...
The Dragons with a field goal on their first possession of the football game after a fine kickoff return. Greer to kick it deep. Vickerman is the deep man, but this will be taken by Chris. Oh, it is Vickerman. And Vickerman finds the seam and gets across the 30-yard line to the 32. And that's where the Cobbers will begin their first offensive series with sophomore Ryan Hebrink out of Sacred Heart High School in Renville, Minnesota. A 6'3", 205-pound sophomore. He played in one game last year. That was the final game of the year against St. John's, and in that game he completed 2 of 7 passes for 66 yards and a touchdown. And Jim, he's a strong-armed quarterback.
He sure is. All he needs is some playing time, and he'll get better as the season goes on. So I'm sure he's quite nervous right now.
Joe Ferry, the back behind Hebrink. They throw on first down, and the pass is short of the intended receiver, Raleigh Schmidt.
Raleigh Schmidt should be one of the favorite receivers for Hebrink. Was one of the leading receivers the last 2 years for Concordia, so we'll look for him a lot. Also, Jake Olson, number 80, comes in and should be one of the key receivers.
And they are 2 of the 3 returning starters for the backs and receivers set for the Cobbers. Martadam, the other, the tight end from Hawley, Minnesota. Ferry and Schermerhorn are the running backs. 2nd and 10 for the Cobbers. And the give, and not much going there for Joel Ferry as the Dragons' defensive line is there for the stop at about the line of scrimmage, and no gain at all on that play.
I think Moorhead State's defense will be strong as the year goes on, and they play a little different defense than Concordia will see all year. They play a regular 5-2 defense with a middle guard, and mostly 4-3 and 4-4 defenses in the MIAC now. So this is a little different look for the Cobbers. 3
returners along that offensive line for the Cobbers: Haugen, Riley, and Emmerich. On a 3rd and 10 for the Cobbers off their initial possession of the football game, and the give. And there's a fumble, and luckily Johnny on the spot is Joel Ferry for the Cobbers. Otherwise, the Dragons would have been knocking on the door. But the first offensive series for the Cobbers will result in a 3-and-out.
The Cobbers have to stay and not turn the ball over. We're fortunate there to get the ball back. Being down 3-0, you can't afford to give the opposition field position.
Well, Matt Bosch, the Dragon right end, was in to cause that fumble. Scott Belseth out of Breckenridge, Minnesota, will do the punting chores for the Cobbers. A nice punt that bounces at the 35 and will get a Cobber roll inside the 25, and it's down at the 24-yard line. So Belseth gets a good punt, gets a good roll, and the Cobbers get out of a hole.
Belseth did some punting late in the year last year, and he has a real strong, quick leg, and we think he'll be a good punter as the season goes on.
There's part of that Cobber staff that has remained intact, Jim, even with your retirement. Bob Nick, nearest to you, Dan Kostic after him, and
Dave Klug.
Yeah, Dave Klug. That staff is intact. The Dragons now who start on their 2nd series of this football game. Deere looks, then turns it up. Has some room along the near sidelines and is finally driven out of bounds, but not before he gets near first down yardage at the 35.
He resembles some of your pro quarterbacks who are starting to run, including like Dante Culpepper. Any quarterback that can scramble puts tremendous pressure on the containment by the defense.
Well, he had a long look there downfield, Jim. His protection initially was good, and when he didn't see anybody open, he decided he would take advantage of what the defense was giving him. And it's a
Apparently the secondary coverage was good in that play. And I think if Moorhead State's going to be successful all day, though, they're going to run the football. I think their passing game is not what they want to go to too early in the ball game.
The officials spotting the football and deciding that it is, in fact, a first down gain for Tony Deere. Tony Deere's brother, as we told you earlier, or Brad Deere's brother, Tony Deere, quarterback the Cobbers, as recently as 1999. In fact, he had a tremendous season during his career, and at one point threw for 1,000 and rushed for 1,000 in the same season, becoming just the 4th person in Division II history to do so. So it's a 1st and 10 for the Dragons on another different offensive look. The pitch to Wang, but once again, he's hit in the backfield, manages to slip away from the initial tackler, but is still driven out of bounds.
Interestingly, Moorhead State was in the wishbone formation on that play. You don't see the wishbone much nowadays, maybe down on a goal line situation.
Vickerman again, though, Jim.
He makes a strong play. If he could have wrapped up on the tackle, he'd had a big loss, but I think the pursuit got there then to hold it to no gain. Okay, double slot. This offense resembles Air Force Academy a little bit. Double slot, even some wishbone, 2 wide outs.
Wang the back in motion to give to the fullback, Elevold, and he has a gain of about 3 yards.
Moorhead State is feeling the defense out here by Concordia and just trying to see where they're lining up here. And
Brian Westby, number 2 there, as you saw, and on the tackle for the Cobbers.
the Concordia defensive line is fairly solid and experienced. I would say the least experienced there would be Max Schmidt. Max Straight's going to be number 96. All the other 3 players have played a lot.
3rd and 7 for the Dragons. They need to get just past the 45 for a first down. Deere spins and looks downfield, avoids the rush. His pass is complete for Wang, who brings it out to the 43 before being driven out of bounds, but that is short of a first down.
Short of a first down.
So the Cobbers do hold on the second offensive series for the Dragons. John Frickman handling the punting duties for the Dragons. Of course, Corey Schmigdahl had a tremendous year last year punting the football. And back deep for the Cobbers is Josh Vickerman. Vickerman will field at the 25. Up the middle he comes across the 30 to the 35-yard line. We're in the first quarter in the 79th inning between the Dragons and the Cobbers, and it's 3-0 Dragons. Cornerback Josh Vickerman, the 6-foot junior, who also returns punts and kicks for the Cobbers, was injured on that punt return. He's having his right knee looked at along the Cobber bench.
He's also starting strong cornerback for the Cobbers, so he'd be a big loss if he can't go back in, as well as kick return.
Terry comes in motion this time, and Hebrink tosses it out to Ben Schermerhorn, and Schermerhorn crosses the 40 to about the 44-yard line on the first positive gain of the day for the Cobbers offense. Schermerhorn, the little running back, 5'7", 180 out of Bagley, Minnesota.
Ryan Hebrink is a very capable quarterback. He's got a lot of patience. He's got some nice height to be able to look over the coverages and the receivers.
2nd and 2 for the Cobbers. They have to get just past the 45 for the first down. And they do on the carry by Ferry. Joe Ferry, a senior out of Moorhead High, Minnesota. Cody Wang, the Dragons starting running back, also a Moorhead Spud product, but Joe Ferry has had a problem staying healthy through his career, Jim. Right. Most of last year due to injuries. He
transferred from South Dakota State as a sophomore and played some, but was banged up last year, like you say, and hopefully he'll stay healthy now and have a big year for us.
After their first down of the football game, the Cobbers have a 1st and 10 at their own 49.
Twins formation both ways here, double twin.
Berry and Schmidt are the twins to the near side of the field. They lob it up to Schmidt, but he cut off his pattern at about the 40, and Hebrink lofted about 10 yards further downfield.
I think this is typical early in the year. The quarterbacks and receivers don't quite have their timing down very good yet, and those things iron out as the season goes on. It's pretty obvious on that play.
Well, the Cobbers do have some real weapons at the wide receiver spot, despite losing Adam Strainer last year, who was outstanding for your football team. Raleigh Schmidt, Jake Olson, both very capable of making big plays in this offense.
And Brian Martyrdom, who plays tight end, I see they're using him in the slot some of the time. He's played quite a bit, so all experienced receivers, like you say.
2nd and 10. Play action and the rollout, and Hebrink will cut it up, but he's dragged down by that big Moorhead State defender, Jeremy Flatten.
No gain on the play. Makes it 3rd and 10.
No gain on the play to bring up a 3rd and 10. Flatten had great pursuit on this play, Jim.
Somebody turned back and blocked that defender, which gave him a little opening, but he decided to run, and there wasn't much there.
That's a heck of a running tackle at the ankles by your big-nosed guard.
It appears that Moorhead State has pretty good pursuit on defense, and they have good size as well.
3rd and 10. Flatten again with initial rush. Hebrink looks downfield. The deep ball intended for Jeff Hurdle, but overthrown. But that is part of the package that you'll see the Cobbers use this year. Hurdle, of course, the starting quarterback last year, and lost his starting job just within the last 2 weeks, and they go deep to him on that play.
Jeff Hurdle is a really outstanding athlete. He's a decathlete in track and has gotten points 2 or 3 years in the conference track meet, and he can make a contribution as a receiver when he's not playing quarterback.
Sept, who got off a fine punt in his first effort of the day, will stand at his own 35-yard line. And this time the wind got a hold of that punt and knocked it down at about the 42. So the Dragons will again have good field position, as they did with the initial kickoff of this game.
You always worry about the kicking game in a first opening game like this. A lot of things can go wrong. You don't have the time to spend on your special teams when you're working on your offense and defensive schemes, but the kicking game for both teams will get better as the year goes on.
Cobbers defense without Vickerman, who remains on the sidelines and being tended to. Here this time to Cody Wang, and he is hit immediately at the line of scrimmage by Andy Schaffer, who has already made a couple of fine plays for the Cobber defense for early in this football game.
Adam Bacher has moved to strong corner for Vickerman now, and we've moved into Derek Fisher has gone to his weak corner.
Pickup of 1 by the Dragons.
This is a more typical alignment that you've seen Moorhead State in the last 20 years. Split back here.
And the give to Wang, and look at him trying to fight off the ankle tackle from Max Strait, and he did so and was actually able to pick up about 2 more yards after that. Fine effort.
That's the difficulty in the triple option, is you have to assign people to the dive, quarterback, and pitch both ways, and as you can see there, he drugged our tackler there for 3 or 4 more yards.
Boy, Strait is just hanging on for dear life there.
He apparently was assigned to the dive in that play.
And his helmet dug into the turf, and he was hanging on. 3rd and
Split back.
4 for the Dragons here. At the 44. Here, option met immediately. Nothing but Cobber defenders there. And the first man in on the play was Mark Cross. And the Cobber coaching staff is very high on Cross, the sophomore from Seattle, Washington.
He went to a junior college last year. We had recruited him 2 years ago, and he decided to come to Concordia for his sophomore year, and here he is playing at strong safety.
The Dragons will punt it away. The deep man back for
Bobby Clark, number 25. He's not the regular punt returner with Vickerman out, but he's a very talented back.
Clark Receives it at his own 22-yard line and brought down after taking not more than one step. Dave Susterstich, the Dragon linebacker, in on the coverage there. The Dragons lead the Cobbers 3-0. A year ago at Minnesota State Moorhead, there was a little bit too much power and not enough football. The Power Bowl turned into a Monsoon Bowl. Lightning and rain suspended the game on Saturday. The game was wrapped up on Monday, 2 days later, and the Dragons won that game 21-20. Memories of that game, Jim?
Well, to wait for 2 days and then play a quarter and about 2 minutes was very unusual. It's hard to get yourself back mentally into the game by the time you warm up and get ready to play.
The give this time is to Joel Ferry, and he finds some room to the near side of the field before being driven down by Adam Roloff. Let's go to Rich Lodwick. Rich?
Well, let's give you an injury update on Josh Vickerman. He will not play the rest of this first half, and it is doubtful that we'll see him in the second half, but he could return. They're going to take a good look at him at halftime. He's got knee problems, but they will not say to what extent, but it looks fairly serious.
That's a big loss, but Concordia needs him for the 9 conference games, too. They're not going to take any chance on getting him hurt further.
3-yard pickup by Ferry, who starts in motion now, and the Cobbers are moving on this play.
That's an example of a new quarterback getting in sync with the rest of his offense. These things will happen early in the year, and obviously you can't have very many of those.
That'll bring us 2nd and 12 for the Cobbers. Moorhead State scored on its initial series in this football game. A 42-yard field goal by Clint Greer.
You might want to watch the center for Concordia, Dustin Little. He was switched from defensive end to center just this year, so he doesn't have a lot of experience, but he's a very tough football player.
Ferry again in motion, this time the give to Schermerhorn. And he has a few on the carry. Fullback was another spot that the Cobbers have had to toy with a bit.
John Dobler, we thought, would be the starter and played a lot last year, and he got a mild knee injury. He could play probably in a week or two, but Schermerhorn is kind of playing in a different position. He normally would be a tailback.
3rd and 6 for the Cobbers. Flatton was a little early for the Dragons. Big number 98 in the middle of that Dragon defense.
It will still be a little bit short of the first down, it appears. Brings up probably a 3rd and about a foot or two, it looks like.
3rd and very short compared to 3rd and 6. Terry Horan will certainly take that. What a career he had catching the football for you,
Well,
Jim.
he was an All-American receiver, and, you know, he played the game the way he coaches it now. He has a passion for football. And to be successful in college football, you really have to have a passion because there's a lot involving recruiting as well as the time spent coaching a football team.
Cobbers looking for the first down on 3rd and 1.
Well, they may be
Boy, I don't
short.
think they got it. Let's see. The Dragons defense is waving their arms as if they have stopped the Cobbers. Schermerhorn needed to get to the 30, almost the 37, just past the 36. But he's short. What a stop by the Dragon defense.
That was a big stop. It's tough to stop a defense or an offense for a yard or less like that, and they got penetration into the backfield.
Good gang tackling as a host of Dragons made that play to deny the Cobbers on 3rd and short. So once again, Belseth will punt it away. A high punt, drifting again to the north side of the field. It bounces at the 42, and the Dragons will take over with, again, good field position, which they have had 3 times in this football game.
We're settling into kind of a defensive struggle here right now. Both defenses seem to have the upper hand right now. And, of course, that's a plus for Concordia because they need a little confidence as the game goes on. The longer they play with the Dragons, the better their chances are to stay with them and have a chance to win in the 4th quarter.
Split back. And the He was up the middle and big running room for Ellevold, who has first down yard all the way inside the 45-yard line.
That's an example of you have to assign somebody to the dive, to the quarterback, and to the pitch. And whoever was assigned to the dive there couldn't get down and make the tackle, and all of a sudden he's into the secondary for a big gain.
Well, you saw Concordia defender Max Strait give at least an arm on Ellevold initially, but didn't have enough of an angle on him to bring him down at the line of scrimmage. Right. And once he got past Strait, he had good running room. So the first down pickup brings the Dragons into Cobber territory once again on a 1st and 10 from the 43-yard line. Here in the option. Will keep it, but a fine play there turned in by Josh Rogers. Or check it, that's Satterley, Shane Satterley, the junior strong safety from Litchfield, Minnesota.
Concordia is playing a loose 4-3 against this option offense. And the defensive end sometimes has a tough time getting all the way down inside on that dive. And that's probably why we saw Ellevold go for a big gain there 2 plays ago. Dragons have settled into the split backs quite a bit.
Yes, they have. We saw the wishbone once today. Swanson comes in motion to the near side of the field. Fumble on the play,
recovered
right
by Concordia.
into the hands of the Cobbers. Didn't get the number on him because he was tackled immediately by Deere, but the game's first turnover gives Concordia good field possession, and up and out of the pile is Andy Schaefer, the linebacker, giving the Cobbers good field position.
Coach Mccully alluded to it. They didn't want to turn the ball over. There was a little indecision. Now you see Max Strait came down and got right on the dive and disrupted that handoff.
See if that turnover and a quick change of possession jump-starts the Cobbers, who have been very limited by this Dragon defense so far. Schmidt now looking up top and looking to rally Schmidt. Oh, Schmidt had it, dropped it. Boy, Hebrink put it right into the hands of Raleigh Schmidt, and he dropped it at about the 26-yard line.
The Moorhead State corner, I don't think touched the ball, distracted Schmidt's view of the ball, I think, as it came down. Otherwise, it was a well-thrown football and very catchable football.
Well, I think this play, Jim, is part of the Terry Horan mentality. We had a quick change of possession there, and he's looking for quick moment. He goes for the big play.
Right.
That's the way
he was a wide receiver, and he caught a lot of touchdown passes on that type of play.
2nd and 10 to give to Ferry, and he's out to the 49-yard line before being tackled on the play by the Dragons' Nate Holzer, the 6'1 senior for the Dragons defense. The Dragons really think that their strength of their defense are their linebackers this year, and that's, of course, Dave Susterich and Joel Zylstra.
You'll notice Concordia, this is the end of the quarter now, is playing a lot of double slot here, which indicates they're going to put the football in the air quite a bit.
The Dragons score on their first series of the football game, and that's the way we stand after the first quarter. The 79th meeting, the 3rd Power Bowl, the Dragons 3 and the Cobbers 0. The Cobber band striking up the tunes here in this battle of Moorhead neighbors. Just 5 blocks separate these two institutions. 3rd and 7 for the Cobbers from their own 48. Hebrink in motion, looking for Schmidt deep. Schmidt down the near sideline and off his fingertips.
A little strong on the throw, but it still was a well-thrown football and potentially a completed pass.
Jack King in pretty good coverage there for the Dragons, and that will force the Dragons into a punt.
You'll notice they get both backs, the fullback and the other motion man, up on that defensive end to give protection for the quarterback. That would be a tough catch there.
King had very good coverage on the play. It would have been a spectacular catch by Schmidt to haul that ball in.
I think we'll see the ball in the air a little bit more as the game goes on.
Bell set. This time a good punt. Fielded at the 10-yard line.
They've got a little wall here.
Let him roll off, and and he's up across the 25 to the 26. So Roloff, the 4-year starter in that Dragons secondary, the most seasoned veteran in the Dragons defense, does a nice job of bringing that punt back.
Special teams in early games like this is a big factor usually. Even just field position by the coverage teams can make a lot of difference. And I can appreciate both coaches are working on getting personnel into those special teams that probably don't have much experience.
Elevo, the lone back behind.
Unbalanced line by Moorhead State here.
Let's see if that causes any problems. That ball's batted away and knocked down.
This is probably a tight end over and then a wing back outside the tight end to get some blocking angles on Concordia's defensive end.
Barry Bennett, number 98, got a hand in on that play. Barry Bennett, senior, of course. One of the great names in Cobber football history. Played here and went on to play in the National Football League.
For 10 years. Barry Jr. is really coming into his own as a football player. He was injured a year ago, had a broken hand, and should have a big year for Concordia.
Here's Deer. Option keeper. It's strung out by the Cobber D, and finally, Shane Satterley wrestled Deer out of bounds, but a couple of Cobber defenders came up nicely initially to get a piece of Deer.
It appears Concordia has a good scheme of defending the option. The dive has hurt him a couple of times, and that's just a matter of that person that's assigned to the dive getting on down there and making the play. But you can see what Deer wants to do. He wants to get on the outside and use his running ability.
3rd and long for the Dragons.
3 wide outs here. Motion and the Twins into the field.
Hyde, the man in motion to the near side of the field, and the ball is tipped away by Brian Westby. That Cobber linebacker got a hand on it, and the Dragons will have to punt it away again. And as you said, Jim, we've settled into pretty much a defensive dictated football game.
Moorhead State completed that pass early in the game, and now Concordia has defended it well the last couple of times they've thrown it. So I'm sure they've spent a lot of time working on that defensively. Bobby Clark back at punt returner. He set the Montana single game rushing record over 400 yards in one game for a little town, Seeley Lake, Montana.
That's amazing. This punt will take a Dragon bounce. Clark fields it at his 30, gets around one man, but then he's brought down on the play by Norbert Farrow.
If the punt returner can get a first down for the offense, that is, if he can average 10 yards on the return, you've given your offense a first down before they even get on the field, and that's not quite on that play, but I noticed both teams have done a pretty good job on their punt return.
Okay, Jim, we're a little more than a quarter into this football game. You're not coaching this game for the first time in more than 3 decades. What's it feel like?
Well, I'm watching both teams a little more, whereas I watched my own team a little bit more in the past, and right now we see 2 teams pretty evenly matched right now. Settling into a defensive game, it looks like.
Short gain on the play by Schermerhorn, and it looked like there was some indecision there between Hebrink and Schermerhorn, Jim.
They may have been reading that there, and there sometimes is indecision. You can see Hebrink is reading the defensive end there. Schermerhorn takes the ball.
And almost took Hebrink with him.
Yeah. That's a potential fumble play every time you run it, but it's also a potential big gainer, which you saw Moorhead State do a couple of times.
Pickup of a little more than a yard on the Schermerhorn carry. Now Hebrink rolling, chucking it up to the far sidelines. The intended receiver is Raleigh Schmidt.
Everybody covered pretty well there, and he had no choice but to throw it out of bounds.
You know, you talk about that handoff between the quarterback and the running back. The Dragons this year in their option offense, they've kind of changed a little bit technically with what they do with that.
In talking to Coach Mccully, he says if we're going to hand it off, we give the ball. Then the back knows he's going to get the football. If we feel that the defensive end isn't going to be, is going to take the dive, we don't even put the ball in there. We'll just keep it and go on around the defensive end.
So here's another 3rd and long for the Cobbers. They need to get to their 45 for a first down. Schermerhorn Behind Hebrink, the quarterback, Ferry in the slot to the near side of the field. Hebrink looking. Pass is complete. Somehow it's complete to Jeff Hurdle. There were two Dragon defenders there. Neither could get a hand on the ball, and Hurdle hauls it in for the Cobbers' first big gainer of the day.
Well, Hebrink was under duress throwing the football, as you'll see here, and Hurdle is well covered. Notice this, going to his left and throwing, but he's got a very strong arm, and Hurdle goes up with a defender right on him and makes a tremendous play on that reception.
Well, Roloff was behind Hurdle. Vargas was in front of him, and somehow the Cobbers complete that pass.
Ryan Hebrink, the quarterback, has the ability to make the big play like that, and the longer he plays, the more you'll see of it.
Here's Schermerhorn for about a 3-yard gain, met there by Zylstra. Also Susterich in. You know, Dave Susterich, number 59, he, as we said, a key contributor to that Dragon defense. His mother, for crying out loud, played hockey at St. Cloud State. Now, I didn't say his brother. I said his mother.
And I think she's done some coaching at Brainerd.
5-yard gain for the Cobbers, who have their deepest penetration into Cobber territory today. And here's Ferry carrying inside the 20 to about the 17-yard line. So it's going to be 3rd and short for the Cobbers.
About 2 yards.
Bnc National Bank first quarter stats look like this. 51 yards rushing for the Dragons. Not a lot of offense from the Cobbers. And the Dragons had a 2.5-minute time of possession edge. 3rd and 2 for the Cobbers. Ferry in motion, and he gets the call, and he's close to the first down. And underneath that big pile, we'll see how far Joe Ferry was actually able to lean out his body and try to get it to the stick.
He was going over Mark Haugen and Brian Riley. You know, there's about 600 pounds of offensive line on that side there.
There's Bobby Nick, the Cobbers offensive coordinator.
Bob Nick is the only coach that was with me for all 32 years of my head coaching. Gradually, coaches retired, and we brought new coaches in, but Bob was with me all that time. He also was the starting quarterback on our 1964 national championship team.
And that's the first down. He got it by the nose of the football. Well, there's a number of coaches or ex-coaches in the metro area that had great careers at Concordia and played on great teams. People like Dave Heide,
Dale Hurdle,
staff, Bob Nick.
Right.
The Cobbers with a fresh set of downs deep in Dragon territory, trailing 3-0 here in the second quarter. Hebrink down the middle, Ferry, touchdown!
The Cobbers spread them out there and ran 4 verticals, and Ferry was open down the middle, and Hebrink, with his poise, threaded the needle and got a touchdown.
A 17-yard scoring strike from the sophomore quarterback to the senior running back, and the Cobbers have the lead.
Hebrink looked outside and then came back into a slot back. Joel Ferry up the hash mark.
Nice form by Hebrink there. He looks awfully comfortable in the pocket throwing that football.
He will get better as this game goes on and as the year goes on.
Jeremy Hinderts to attempt the point after for Concordia. Conventional straight-on kicker, Jim. Hits the crossbar and bounces out. I mean, you don't see kickers like you anymore. Kicking.
No, they're kind of a dinosaur nowadays.
Well, that could be a point that could prove to be interesting as this game goes on. Instead of a 4-point Cobber lead, it's a 3-point Cobber lead. 6-3. You're watching Power Bowl 3. Ryan Hebrink to Joel Ferry to give the Cobbers the lead here. 11:18 to play in the second quarter. A deep kick into the end zone, and Moorhead State, Chad Ide can only look at it.
Keep in mind that when the ball hits the ground in the end zone, it's dead. It's not a matter of breaking the plane. You can run the ball out of the end zone when it breaks the plane, but it cannot hit the ground. Of course, it hit the ground in this case, so it's a dead ball.
Hendrick's a big guy for a kicker. 6'2", 230 pounds.
And he's a pretty good fullback as well as being a good baseball pitcher.
7 plays, 65 yards. It took him under 3 minutes to do so. And, of course, the big play, besides the touchdown, was the Hebrink to Jeff Hurdle pass that kept that drive alive. Dragons now with split backs go back to work, and the gives to Cody Wang, and Wang is met at about the 23-yard line. At the bottom of that pile there is Brian Bierke. Three-yard gain.
The Cobbers in that loose 4-3 defense, I'm sure, are going to try to sign people and play the dive quarterback and pitch. As you can see, the dive sometimes is a little scary there. It looks like there's running room inside because the defensive end is pretty wide on that loose 4-3.
Here's Ellivold, and he's just across the 25-yard line, but right there defensively is Barry Bennett for Concordia.
He's assigned on that particular play to get down on the dive, but it's still a long ways to come. As you can see, the back was, getting 2 or 3 yards, but a 3rd and 5 situation against an option team, so far, Concordia has done a pretty good job.
3rd and 5. Concordia having gained back some momentum after taking the lead. Now we'll try to hold that momentum and make a stop as the Dragons operate from their own territory at the 25. Swanson in motion to the far side of the field. Cody Wang has the carry and has the first down. Out to the 34-yard line.
There's the dive that I was talking about. It's, of course, on a 3rd and long. You aren't looking for that play particularly, but Coach Mccully apparently felt it was there for the first down. You see, we didn't get the defensive end down on the dive play there.
Well, Bennett got an arm on Wang, as did Straight early in the game. So the Cobbers defenders are there initially, but they're not getting real good angles on some of the Dragon ball carriers. Now here's Ellivold with a positive gain out to the 40-yard line, but he picks up nearly 5 yards on the play.
That dive broke back to the weak side, and I think it's assigned or designed to do that because he broke back behind the center and found some running yards inside.
Dragons kind of putting this series into the hands and legs and strength of their offensive line. 3 consecutive positive carries here for the Dragon running backs. 2nd and 5 with split backs. Here this time the option pitch to Wang, and Wang had a hole. It pulls quickly, but he does have a first down carry. Dragons say it was a fumble, and it is. The Cobbers have it.
Second turnover by Moorhead State, something that Coach Mccully was concerned about.
Tanner Oliphant, number 41, the freshman from Foxhome, comes out of the pile. Here's the replay, Jim, and let's see where this ball pops out. Had to be near the end of the play. Oh, it was ripped out.
Okay.
I believe it was ripped out on that play by Satterley.
He's a strong safety.
And recovered by Oliphant. But if we were to take another look at that, I think it would confirm that Satterley was able to rip that ball right out of the hands of Cody Wang. And look at the tough running here.
That's Schermerhorn.
By Ben Schermerhorn, the senior out of Bagley, Minnesota, carries for a first down for the Cobbers.
He's not very tall, but he's a very strong football player. He's about 5'7".
A good initial hole there, Jim. Cobbers' offensive
line came off the line real well.
Had a great point of attack. 1st and 10 for the Cobbers at the Dragons' 34-yard line. Barry this time carries, and he's brought down on the play by Vincent Williams, a 5'10" junior linebacker from Detroit, Michigan. Where's number 50?
It appears that Coach Horan wants to try to establish the running game a little bit more. They've come up inside a couple of times here and have had pretty good movement.
What have you seen in terms of new sets, new formations? Have there been many, Jim?
Concordia has been in a double slot most of the time, but they motion back into the I formation or the T formation. What it does give them is two quick receivers out on each side, on either side at any given play.
Here's the double slot again. Hebrink looking up top, and pass intended for Schmidt, and again,
Hebrink got pretty, I think the strong safety came from the open side of the field and had a lot of pressure. He had to just get the ball off there.
Corey Hoppy, number 43, was the man delivering pressure on the quarterback, Ryan Hebrink, who is actually limping a bit, Jim. Let's take a look at the hit delivered by Hoppy onto Hebrink.
He may have gotten banged up on that play right there. He's limping.
No doubt about that. Favoring his right leg as he brings the Cobbers to the line of scrimmage on a 3rd and 8. 7:42 to play, second quarter. Cobbers 6, Dragons 3. Berry in motion. Hebrink this time rolls out to the far side of the field. Looks and dumps it ahead to Schermerhorn, who caught it at the 32, but was tackled immediately by Josh Hagan, the junior strong safety from Crosby, North Dakota. And as you said, Jim, the Cobbers are short of a first down.
And too long for a field goal, I would think, at this point, so they're probably going to go for it on 4th down.
4-down territory here. You're inside the opponent's 30-yard line, and as you said, it wouldn't be a good percentage field goal.
And until they get their kicking game settled a little bit more, they're not going to take chances.
4th and 5. What's your call here, Coach?
Well, they're going to throw the football, I would think, and probably get Hebrink, depending on his health here. He's limping just a little bit.
The Dragons take a timeout. Ralph Mccully in his 9th season as head coach of the Dragons. And with your retirement, Jim, Ralph is now the dean of college football coaches in the metro area.
Well, I guess, what is it, about 9 years for Ralph at Moorhead State? I remember Ralph when he was a player at McAllister back my first year of coaching at Concordia in 1969. He was a starting center at McAllister. And they had good football teams in those days. I think we beat McAllister that year something like 8-6. And then went on and played in the national playoffs that year and came in as a runner-up in the nation. Ralph has been around, has coached in several different programs, has settled in at Moorhead State, and has done a real good job with it. I had the opportunity to coach against 3 coaches at Moorhead State. Dwayne Holberg, just 1 year, and then Ross Fortier, about 23 years, and then the rest against Coach Mccully. It's interesting, my record against Moorhead State was 15 wins, 15 losses, and 2 ties.
Can't get any more parity than that.
No. Enough wins, I guess, that, well, you can't gloat about it, but not so many losses that you have to feel bad either. For a rivalry like this, if you can play 500, I think it's good for both schools.
No doubt about it.
If it gets one-sided, I don't know if that'll ever happen in this series or not, but then it becomes counterproductive for the team that can't win.
Here come the Cobbers now to the line of scrimmage on a 4th and 5 from the Dragons' 29-yard line.
Motioning to trips formation here.
Hebrink looking to the corner. It's intended for Schmidt, but the ball was out of bounds, and Schmidt was being defended very well there by Jack King on the play.
I noticed they had Jeff Hurdle open on the curl inside, and he was waving his arms and felt he was open.
Cobbers turn it over on downs, and the Dragons will go back to work. We're under 7 minutes to play here in the first half. Dan Hammer and Jim Christofferson from Jake Christensen Field on the campus at Concordia College. This the 79th meeting in a series that dates back to 1920. Split backs, and Cody Wang is the ball carrier, and he's met there by a trio of Cobber defenders. Eric Klan was in on the tackle, a 6'1" junior from Lake Lillian, Minnesota. Another special thing about this series, Jim, is that many of these players played with each other, against each other in many regions of Minnesota.
This is an area, a recruiting area, I'd say, that both Concordia and Moorhead State work very hard. So many of these kids have played against each other, like you say, and end up being either on the same team or against each other. So A lot of friendships here, and another reason the rivalry here has flourished.
Pickup of just a little more than a yard on that play. Deer now rolling out, looking and firing, and finding his receiver, Chad Davison.
Could be a first down.
At about the 40, very near first down yards. I think he's got it by maybe about a half a football, Jim, the way it looks. Davison, a promising young receiver from Tinta. Good size at 6'3" and 210.
You notice Moorhead State takes that near back and sends him up on the defensive end and tries to break containment to give the quarterback just a little more time to throw the football.
So we'll bring the change from the far side of the field, which is the north side of the field here at Jake Christensen Stadium, to the near side for the measurement. But I would be surprised if the Dragons don't have this first down.
Get overtime pay for that. And that's the first down.
By a football.
That's the first down, Dragons.
I think that's the key to Moorhead State's success, being able to tie that short passing game in with their option game.
Well, they did that successfully 2 years ago.
Very much so.
Back at the Dome when Tony Deere was in his senior season in a 44-7 Dragon win. That was a main part of their offensive game plan.
And then when he had some success with the short passing game, then the option game goes very well for you. And I think that's the whole scheme of things here that Coach Mccully is trying to develop all year long.
Davison and Swanson, the receivers to the
There's
far
some
side of the
cutbacks.
field, but the quick give to Elevold, the fullback, and he carries across the 45 for a good gain.
They've had more success with that cutback rather than a straight dive, which they did earlier in the ball game. Notice he comes back, they scoop block, and come back all the way behind the center. And Concordia's defensive tackles are shaded down so they can take the D tackle in that direction. So the backside linebacker has got to help fill on that play.
Left guard Jerome Johannes for the Dragons had a fine block on that last pickup. Dragons really feel that their offensive line has to take a big step forward this year from a year ago if they're in their pool. And here's Deere on the option across and inside the 40 to about the 36-yard line. Tony Deere showing his explosiveness as he got to the corner.
They've been setting this play up with the dive and having success. They've been patient, and now he breaks a little bit on the outside there.
18-yard pickup. Great fake to Elevold in the middle of the line. And a good block there at the point of attack by Rich Pikowski, the fullback, who sealed off his defender and opened the gap for Brad Deere.
I believe the outside backer is trying to scrape off onto the quarterback there and wasn't able to get there, probably influenced by the dive. Try a dive, cut back again.
Elevold inside the 35, about a 3-yard pickup there. On the bottom of the pile, defensively, was Scott Belseth. Scott Belseth, the son of longtime Breckenridge High School football coach Mike Belseth. Gain of just a yard on the carry, and a 2nd and 9 for the Dragons. Just inside the Cobbers 35-yard line. It's 6-3 Concordia. Deere again on the option. Does not take the pitch. Finds the seam and gets to the 22. And has another first down for the Dragons.
Yeah, the linebacker has to try to scrape out. He's getting turned in by the offensive tackle, it appears there.
And Pikowski, the fullback, got another good block at the line of scrimmage for the Dragons. Belseth with the perhaps touchdown-saving tackle there for the Cobbers. 57 yards rushing for Brad Deere so far in the game on 9 carries. That's a good hefty average for the Dragon quarterback. Deere again cuts it up, hurtling over a would-be tackler, but look at him go for 12 more yards inside the 10, and the Dragons will have 1st and goal.
For 45 for Concordia came up limping Shane Satterley, strong safety here.
Well, the last thing the Cobbers want to see are injuries, because they had a bushel basket full of them during fall camp. But Deere really showing some confidence now, and so are the Dragons coaching staff in running the option and running the football from their quarterback, who has 69 yards rushing here in the first half. First and goal for the Dragons as they look to regain the lead. They trail 6-3. Elevold, the fullback, cuts to the corner, touchdown! An impressive drive for the Dragons, eating up yards and yards on the ground, and they have the lead back here with 3:03 to play in the first half.
The interesting thing about defending Moorhead State is they're one of the few true option teams you see anymore. There's the cutback. Everybody gets walled off, and he cuts it back into the end zone.
Clint Greer on for the point after, and it's good. And the Dragons lead the Cobbers now 10-6 in 79th meeting and in Power Bowl 3.
Not much time left in the half. It'll be interesting to see what Concordia does now offensively.
You're watching Power Bowl 3 on KBLY. The Dragons 10, the Cobbers 6 on an impressive drive for the Dragons. Greer to kick it away. Clark is the deep man for the Cobbers.
Both teams defensively, I've been fairly impressed with so far.
Kick floating to the 17-yard line. And across the 25 to the 30-yard line is
Chris Mumm.
Where Chris Mumm, number 17, is brought down. On the bottom of the pile there for the Dragons was Vincent Williams. The Dragons go 71 yards in 8 plays and under 4 minutes. And a ground-oriented scoring drive capped off by that Justin Elevold touchdown run.
That was typical of Moorhead State's offense. That's the kind of drives they want to have. Not a lot of throwing, but just enough timely short passing to blend in with their offense.
Cobbers have under 3 minutes to go in the first half here as the pass is complete to Schmidt. He breaks the initial tackler.
About 9 yards
gets
on that
about
play.
9, almost up to the 39-yard line. Hagan on the stop for the Dragons, but Schmidt's ability to break that initial tackler afforded him extra yards.
That's a tough play to defend. It's kind of a quick screen where one of the wide receivers goes down and blocks, and you throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage. Now you've got a ball carrier in the open field.
Martadam and Hurdle to the near side of the field to give inside to Schermerhorn, and look at him spin and turn and twist across the 45-yard line. Dave Sustersich in on the tackle for the Dragons. I think the Cobbers have to be encouraged by what they've seen out of Schermerhorn today.
He's a Barry Sanders type of back, about 5'7", about 180 pounds. I'm not sure the defensive players can see him coming sometimes because he's shorter. He comes behind the offensive line, and it's tough to pick him.
He kind of rode the hip of Brian Riley, big number 73, the offensive lineman there. Here's a pass complete to Schmidt down the near sideline to the 41-yard line inside Dragons territory. And good for a first down for the Cobbers, who have all the looks of a team that wants to put another score on the board before half.
Very nice touch here by Ryan Hebrink. Lays it up over the defender. And Raleigh Schmidt runs a fade pattern and completes the pass.
Schmidt beating Jack King on that play. Schermerhorn, the lone back. And he gets the call and finds some running room inside the 35 before being brought down on the play by Matt Bosch, the senior linebacker from Page, North Dakota.
Concordia's offensive line has come off the line of scrimmage very well.
Hebrink so far 6 of 14 for 88 yards.
No interceptions, 1 touchdown.
2nd and 5 for the Cobbers. Clock down to 1:26 and counting in the half. Hebrink looking for Hurdle, and the ball nearly picked off by Willie Vargas.
Looked like Hurdle broke it inside on the corner, and Hebrink threw the ball outside. A little bit of miscommunication there, but they're not afraid to throw the football.
Little pump fake by Hebrink initially.
It's hard to see exactly what. Jeff was inside, and the ball was thrown outside.
So here's a key 3rd down for the Cobbers here as they try to tack on some points before half. 35. They need to get to the 30-yard line for the first down. Quick throw to Schmidt, but Schmidt is met almost immediately after he caught the ball. Adam Roloff is there for Moorhead State, and so is Jack King.
Might have gotten a yard or two, but
that's
it's
it.
4th and 2.
4th and a long 2, probably more like 3. Good pursuit by the Dragons secondary. In fact, King made a nice play there to get back up off his feet and make that play.
King came off Martyrton's block. It was a good block, but he got back up and made the tackle.
4th and 3. Key play here in the first half with the Dragons leading 10-6. A minute 14 to play in the half. Hebrink looks downfield. Pass intended for Martyrdam, but it's over his head, and the Dragons have it on down. Josh Hagan, the junior strong safety, in on the coverage there as you take a look at him. Adam, number 21.
Little overthrown. Concordia, of course, has to contain the Dragon offense. They can't afford to even give them a field goal now with 1 minute and 10 seconds to go.
Deere, who's had a very good first half running the football for the Dragons, this time drops back, then takes it under. We've got a flag thrown behind the line of scrimmage as Deere crosses the 40, but this one's going to be brought back, and that's a holding on the Dragons. You know, the Dragons, as I was talking about in the last series, really think that their offensive line has to be much, much better this year. And one reason they feel that it will be is the addition of a big guy along their offensive line by the name of Larry Mccully. He's the right tackle. He wears number 77. Mccully transferred from South Dakota State, was a highly recruited football player out of Brainerd High School, and went to South Dakota State. Things didn't work out well there, and he's back with the Dragons this year, and they have high hopes for their big right tackle, number 77.
They appear to be pretty solid in that offensive line, and they'll get better with every game.
Less than a minute to play, 54 seconds.
I wouldn't look for Moorhead State to do anything very dangerous here.
No, you're on.
Run the clock out with a small lead going into half.
Ellevold to carry.
Ellevold on carrier.
Brought down by Satterley on the play. Well, you have the lead. You're on the road. You're in your own territory. That's no time to do anything that might surrender that lead in the form of a turnover late.
Moorhead State has to feel good putting that last drive together and then taking the lead. At the same time, I think Concordia has to feel pretty good about their performance so far. They've played very good defensively. They've shown some sign on offense, both running and passing the game that they can move the football.
This will be the last play of the half. We'll have a chat with Dragons head coach Ralph Mccully as he leaves the field here at the end of the first half. Deere takes the knee. And the Dragons, who took an initial 3-0 lead on the opening drive of the football game and then saw that lead go away, regain the lead late in the second quarter on the Justin Ellevold touchdown run. And at the half, it's the Dragons 10 and the Cobbers 6.
Well, I think we've got a real good game going here, Dan.
Pretty evenly matched football game. It sure settled into a defensive affair there from about midway through the first quarter to midway through the second quarter before both the Cobbers and the Dragons tacked on touchdowns. Let's go field side to Rich Ludwig.
Okay, 10-6 at the half. Ralph Michelli's team with the lead. Late touchdown there, and you finally got the running game going. Comment on what you liked and what you didn't like here in the first half.
Well, I think, you know, we turned the ball over twice, and I think if we don't turn the ball over and punt and keep them down in their territory, we got a good chance to get field position. We didn't do that, and I think we let them score because of that. So I think offensively we started being able to move the ball a little bit, and we still want to be able to throw the ball, and we still want to be able to run the ball, and I think we're doing that now.
Okay, thanks a lot. Ralph Mccully, head coach of the Dragons. They're up 10-6, and back up to you guys with more.
Thank you, Rich. Power Bowl 3, and thankfully, the skies are very friendly this year, and that's good news for all associated with this series. We're at the half here at Jake Christensen Field. It's the Dragons of Minnesota State Moorhead 10 and the Cobbers 6. Power Bowl 3. And we're back at Jake Christensen Field for the BNC National Bank Halftime Report, where the Dragons lead the Cobbers 10-6 on a beautiful, beautiful Saturday afternoon for football. And Jim, a day like today, with a crowd like this and a field like this, this is really what small college football is all about.
Well, looking at everything, this is one of the top rivalries in the upper Midwest. The North Dakota State game would be way up there because it's a conference game. This is a non-conference game, and it's gone on now for 79 years. And it's a good ball game. There's a lot of talk about if, you know, it gets one-sided, that maybe the series would be discontinued. I don't see that happening here. Looking at the two teams, they look pretty evenly matched to me.
Well, this is the final year of the most current contract, which was a 3-year contract, and I think from what I'm hearing, both sides, the Cobbers and the Dragons and their administrators, are very hopeful that this series will continue.
The problem with discontinuing it is it's not easy to get non-conference games. Yeah. Where's Moorhead State or Concordia going to go? They have to go down to Iowa or Wisconsin, and there's a lot of expense and time on the road, you know, traveling to those ball games. It's right in town here. So
we're going to go field side now, where Moorhead Public Service and Missouri River Energy Services, the sponsor of this football game, are presenting checks.
Moorhead for scholarships. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Minnesota State University Moorhead is very proud to be a part of this event and to accept this check for our students. Thank you very much to Moorhead Public Service and Missouri River Energy Services.
President Thompson, on behalf of Moorhead Public Service and Missouri River Energy Services, would like to present you this check for $6,000 for your scholarship fund. Thank you very much.
On behalf of all of us at Concordia College, current students and alumni, we want to thank you for this support that goes directly to our students. Thank you for this great event.
The BNC Halftime Report here at Jake Christensen Field on the campus of Concordia College, where the Dragons lead the Cobbers 10-6 on a sun-drenched day. Earlier this week, we had temperatures in the mid to upper 90s, and thankfully for everyone involved, the temperatures backed off a bit, and this is a perfect September afternoon. Let's go to Rich Ludwig.
Okay, now joined by Barry Bennett, and Cobber fans will remember Barry back in the mid-70s, defensive tackle, and you played in some great Cobber Dragon rivalries. You also played in the NFL. First of all, talk a little bit about your memories as you're here today to the days when you played. In the 79 years this rivalry has taken place, and you're part of that.
I didn't have a very big Moorhead connection, so I wasn't aware of the extreme rivalry. I think we were 3-1 during the 4 games that I played here, and to me, it never got to where it was bigger than a conference game. But I realized it to the town that it was, and I can remember parts of some of the games.
How did you play in those games? It was the first game of the season. Obviously, you got pumped up for it.
Well, I mean, like to think you got pumped up for every game, because the next week or the week after was the first conference game, and pretty soon after it was like a St. John's game. I mean, I have no idea really how I played in it, but I remember as I watched this game today, I would much rather be 25 years back in time playing than watching. I don't like watching football games.
Well, your son is out there, and this is a fierce battle, 10-6 at the half. Any pointers for him? Do you talk to him a lot and give him a couple of pointers, I guess?
The only pointer I ever try to give him, he never listens to, and that's to try and be a little meaner. He's the nicest kid in the world, and for the exception of 2 hours out there, That's fantastic, but he would be a little bit better football player if he was a little bit meaner, seeing as he's a defensive lineman.
So like his old man, right?
Well, he played the same position as old man. Yeah, I was a little more short-tempered than he is.
All right, last question. Just comment on the NFL. The season starts tomorrow, and obviously 11 years actually in the NFL. And your comments on the way the league is right now, and of course locally the Vikings.
I wish I was still doing that. It was a fantastic 11 years. I miss that. I don't watch much of that because it's painful to watch. But I think it's the best game going. It's the only game that interests me even a little bit. So I'm sure the Vikings will do well. I think they got a great coaching staff. But as long as nobody's paying me, I don't have a real big interest in that game.
All right, thanks a lot. That's Barry Bennett, a former Cobber football player, former NFL defensive tackle. Now let's switch over. Minnesota State University Moorhead knows this gentleman pretty well. Tony Deere, his brother is the starting quarterback. And Tony, you played and you really dominated in this series. One game in particular, a few years back, you scored 5 touchdowns. Obviously, being here at the rivalry game again brings back memories, doesn't it?
Oh, it sure does. It was a lot of fun playing these guys. I wish we could have played them almost every game. It was a lot of fun, big rivalry. I was from the area, so it was a lot to get up for, and it was always the first game of the year, so you're excited for me personally to hit somebody because I didn't get the chance to hit somebody in practice very often. So.
Now this game in particular, not only is it big because it's the first game, but it's huge because you're blocks away and you play your crosstown rival. Does the season opener need a rivalry, or is it good that it's the first game off the year?
It's good. It's both. I mean, a rivalry and it's just crosstown. Like we usually said when we played these guys for a week, we hated them. But after the week, we were friends with a lot of Concordia football players after that. And it's a start after the season. You don't need a rivalry, but to have a rivalry is great.
Talk about this Dragon team, what you've seen so far. Obviously, Dragon football is running. That's what you did so effectively. But you also were effective passing. You were the 4th quarterback in Division II to pass for 1,000 and rush for 1,000. So you like the balance, don't you?
Yeah, it's great to have a balance. Like our offense has been based on the run, and for us, we start with the run, and then you got to pass to open it up every now and then. But if you can just run the ball and shove it down their throat, I think that's the way Coach Mccully would like it.
Got a prediction here for the second half? Are they going to open it up a bit, you think?
No predictions. I'm just going to sit up in the stands and watch myself and hope for the best.
What's your future? You coached last year. What's ahead for Tony Deere?
I got married this summer, and I'm actually going to graduate school. I'm hoping to get a master's in exercise physiology and come back and be a speed and strength coach at some university down the line, hopefully.
Tony, marriage. Let me tell you all about it. Been married 6 years. It's been wonderful. It certainly has. I can't say anything else, can I? Anyway, that's Tony Deere, Minnesota State University's former quarterback. We're at halftime. The Dragons lead the Cobbers 10-6, and we're back with more halftime activities here at Jay Christensen Stadium at Concordia College up next.
This is the Bnc National Bank Halftime Report. Dan Hammer and Jim Christopherson live at Jake Christensen Field on the campus of Concordia College in Moorhead, Minnesota. And as you see, a partly cloudy but sunny, sun-drenched, beautiful afternoon for college football. The Dragons lead the Cobbers 10-6 here at the half in a very close and competitive first half. Power Bowl 3, as it's being called, and Rich Ludwig is field side with the gentlemen who are responsible for promoting and also carrying on this game's tradition. Rich?
Well, that's certainly right. Without these gentlemen and their participation and their company's involvement, of course, this game wouldn't have the sponsorship that it has. With me, Bill Schwant from Moorhead Public Service. And Bill, why don't you tell us what this game means and your involvement in it and how special today is?
Well, it's a very special day. Moorhead Public Service is a community-owned electric and water utility, and this is a Moorhead event. So we're just proud as punch to be part of this event, and it's a great day and a great day for football.
Certainly helps when the weather's cooperating like today, isn't it?
Yeah, the last 2 years it's rained, and this year we've just got a beautiful day to be outside enjoying a nice afternoon of football. So we're just glad to be here, Rich.
All right, thanks a lot, Bill. And Tom Heller from Missouri River Energy Services. also here. And Tom, I notice you're looking up as well. You see the dark clouds coming in, but so far it's dry, and it's been a great day, hasn't it?
It has. It's been beautiful. Like Bill said, the last 2 years have been wet, but this one is a great one.
Talk about this game, Moorhead, Minnesota State University Moorhead. I still say Moorhead State. I'm trying to spit it out. In Concordia, the 79 years, and you're a part of this rivalry, and they're going to play for many more years to come, it looks like.
We feel really great to be a part of that real long-lasting rivalry and hope we can be a part of it for years to come. We're the energy supplier for the city of Moorhead. They're our largest member in the four-state area. And these two colleges, Concordia College and Moorhead State University, or Minnesota State University Moorhead, are probably two of the largest retail customers in the community. So they're very, very important to us.
All right. And you two gentlemen look like you could still play a few plays out there. Did you guys play? Did you play, Bill?
I played just a little bit. I wasn't the big football player like Mr. Heller was.
Tom, you played, huh?
In high school, yeah.
In high school, okay. Well, that's 10-6 at the half, and we're going to be back. We'll talk about the second half, and we'll hear from head coach Terry Horan of the Cobbers. Second half straight ahead when we return.
Welcome back to the BNC National Bank Halftime Report here at Jake Christensen Field, where the Dragons lead the Cobbers 10-6. As we take a look at the numbers from the first half, Moorhead. But first, let's go to head coach Terry Horan.
Terry Horan, your first half in the books as a collegiate coach. Tell us a bit about it. You're down 10-6. You had to like some of what you saw.
Yeah, we really did. We got to finish things a little bit more. I mean, there were some things that were there for us, and we got to capitalize. We got a couple turnovers. We had some short field to work with. We just couldn't punch in a few. But hey, I'm all right with 10-6. You know, our kids have played hard, and we can't ask for anything more.
You've picked your spots for passing. We'll see more of it?
We hope so. I think that's a strong suit of our game, but we also got to be able to run the football, too, so we'll see what the defense gives us.
All right, thanks a lot, Terry.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Now the numbers from the first half. Moorhead State rushed the ball awfully well in that first half. They rushed it 29 times for 146 yards. They had a 3-minute edge in possession. The Cobbers with 90 yards passing, 49 yards rushing. And the first downs favored the Dragons by the tune of 9-7. The Dragons got on the board first in the football game. They took the opening kickoff, had good field position, and turned it into points. Freshman place kicker Clint Greer from Dickinson, North Dakota, hit this 42-yard field goal just inside the right upright. That came at 11-11 of the first quarter. The Cobbers then took the lead back. In the second quarter, Joel Ferry, a 17-yard reception from Ryan Hebrink. The point after failed. The Cobbers, though, led it 6-3. And the Dragons then, in the second quarter, regained the lead on a very impressive drive. 8 plays, 71 yards, mostly on the ground. Justin Ellevold capped this drive with this 8-yard touchdown run. The point after was good, and the Dragons have the lead that they hold now at the half, 10-6. We'll be back for the second half of Powerball 3 right after these messages. Nothing runs like a deer, especially in a Dragons football offense. Brad Deere, the Dragons junior quarterback, with 70 yards rushing on 11 attempts. That's a 6.5-yard average. Brad Deere, the younger brother of Tony Deere, who quarterbacked the Dragons as recently as 2 years ago and was one of our guests on the Bnc Halftime Report. We're underway here in the third quarter. The Cobbers to receive, and they'll operate from the east to the west. Accepting the kickoff is Bobby Clark, and Clark goes out across the 30 into the 35-yard line. And Clark likes that kickoff return a lot as he pumps both fists.
He's a welcome addition, I think, to the kick returning, especially with Vickerman out right now. It looks like he might be out for the game, and he was their key punt and kickoff return man. So having Bobby Clark come in there really solves that problem for the time being.
Take a look at Ryan Hebrink, who late in that second quarter looked like he was favoring his right leg some, but he returns to direct that Cobber offense here in the third quarter on their first possession, and they operate from their own 35-yard line. Terry with the carry, and he has a pickup of about 3 yards on the play. Joel McHugh, the junior defensive tackle from Ashland, Wisconsin, in on the stop for the Dragons.
big key, I think, this second half will be how Moorhead State defends Concordia's passing game and how Concordia defends Moorhead State's running game, because those seem to be the strengths of the two teams right now.
Hebrink in the first half, 7 of 17 for 90 yards, and the touchdown to Joel Ferry, Cobbers' lone score of the game. Hebrink this time looking, has time, rolls out, now pucks it under and heads to the far sideline, and he gets it to about the 47-yard line. Good for the Cobber first down.
That's where both Hebrink and Greer are very dangerous. They can scramble when you have receivers covered and get the first down. Puts a lot of pressure on the containment for the defense.
Good protection by that Cobber offensive line. You saw big Brian Riley, 6'5", 310 pounds out of Kirkhoven, Minnesota, number 73.
Isn't it amazing the size of linemen nowadays compared to like 20 years ago?
First down for the Cobbers. Shermer Horan.
Linebacker played that very well.
Yes, he did. Good stop in on the tackle by Joel Zylstra, the 6'2" senior. As we told you earlier, Zylstra and Susterich, really the heart and soul of the Dragon defense.
Shermerhorn is doing a very good job. He's typically a tailback, and because of injuries, they've moved him to fullback, and he's done an excellent job in this game.
Pick up a 2 by Shermerhorn, who rushed for 35 yards, the top ball carrier for the Cobbers back in the first half.
Bobby Clark in the game.
Clark this time with his first carry of the game to about the 46. So the Cobbers are looking at about a 3rd and 5 off their initial possession here of the third quarter.
Coach Horan's offense here with a double slot and then motion gives a lot of diversity to that offense, both running and passing with the 4 eligible receivers right on the line of scrimmage.
As you take a look at Hebrink there receiving the play, this is a high school kid who operated out of the shotgun for a majority of his high school career.
I asked Terry Horan if they had the shotgun in, and because of a new center, they don't yet, but I think we'll see that as the year goes on.
No doubt about it. Play action fake. Bootleg, and Hebrink looks downfield. He's got Martindam, and Martindam has the first down. The big tight end, Brian Martindam, the 6'4" senior from Hawley, Minnesota, played his high school football for Mike Malmberg, another former Cobber.
Very nice deception on Hebrink's part there, coming out on bootleg action pass, and that along with Brad Deere's ability to run, you can see both offenses have that threat to run or pass with the quarterbacks.
Cobbers operating from the Dragon 37-yard line. This time to give to Clark, and he's inside the 35 before being brought down by McHugh.
I can't imagine gaining 400 yards rushing in one game. That's what Bobby Clark did for Sealy Lake, Montana in one ball game his senior year. He also won about 3 events in the state track meet in his class, so he's a very fine running back.
Clark just a sophomore. So you've got Hebrink a sophomore, Clark a sophomore, a couple of talented offensive players to build your offense around the next couple of years for the Cobbers. Here's Shermerhorn, inside carry to the 30 before he was knocked off his feet by Zylstra.
Concordia is doing a nice job running the football here. I'm a little surprised. Defensively, I think Moorhead State's very physical up front with their front 7.
Here's Josh Vickerman, who was injured in the first half, out of his uniform, will not play the rest of the day. Another injury, and the Cobbers have had a number of them in pre-fall camp. And another one today to Vickerman. Here's the throw to Shermerhorn. He has the first down. He's still on his feet inside the 20, and now he's driven out of bounds at the 19-yard line.
Hebrink threw that ball under duress. I'm amazed he got that football off. Moorhead State's defensive end was right up in his face there.
But another first down and a good-looking drive for the Cobbers here to begin the third quarter. Jason Satter, the defensive end, was delivering pressure on Hebrink, but Hebrink was able to get that ball off, and Shermerhorn delivers the first down. 1st and 10 from the Dragons 20, who lead this football game 10-6. Ferry this time springs it out, tries to get to the corner, fumble, and it's out of bounds. Boy, the Dragon defender came flying in there. Josh Hagan to try to attempt to recover that football, but it was out. And a big break for the Cobbers there.
Moorhead State corner, I believe it was Vargas, came up and made a real nice open field tackle and knocked the ball loose there. Cobbers were fortunate that the ball went out of bounds.
Let's go! Come on!
Vargas with the helmet right on the football, and that popped it out. And there you see Hagen trying to recover it. Vargas, one of the returning defenders for the Dragons. He's a 5'9" junior from Maple Lake. 2nd and 10 for the Cobbers. Hebrink looking, chucks it down the middle of the field and just throws it out of the back of the end zone. His intended receiver on the play was Jake Olson, the senior from Crookston. The Cobbers will face a 3rd and 10. Hebrink strong-armed this ball.
Had a little pressure there, and I think he just wanted to get the ball off and not throw the interception and let it go a little longer. Big down for Concordia. It's a fairly long field goal for 4th down. A big play for them here.
Pass wide open, Joel Ferry, touchdown.
Ryan
Tell you
Hebrink.
what, Jeff Hurdle cut his route to the inside. The Dragon defenders went with him, and Ferry was all alone on the near sideline.
Ryan Hebrink has a great sense of where his receivers are. He looks the entire field over, and he had 4 receivers on the line of scrimmage, and one of them came open up the sideline, Joel Ferry.
The Cobbers regain the lead. Oh, did Ferry sneak behind the Dragon secondary there, Jim?
That was a well-conceived play, and excellent job by both Ferry and Hebrink. He's looking for him right now. He knows he's going to go back to him on a throwback type of pattern up the sideline, wide open.
4 Dragon defenders suddenly turn their head and see number 19 all alone. Joel Ferry has his 2nd receiving touchdown of the day. The point after, though, is no good. So the Cobbers have failed to convert each of their point after conversions, but with the touchdown, they take the lead, 12-10. The Cobbers lead the Dragons 12-10 as the Cobbers score a touchdown on their opening drive of the 3rd quarter. 11 plays, 65 yards. It took him 4 minutes and 10 seconds, and Ryan Hebrink to Joel Ferry for the 2nd time this day. And Joel Ferry has already had some experience catching the ball out of the backfield earlier in his career, right, Jim?
At South Dakota State, where he started, he played receiver quite a bit of the time, playing behind Josh Ronick, their fine running back at South Dakota State, All-American. And that's paying off for him here. You can see that today. He's had 2 touchdown pass completions.
Jeff Zupke carries that kickoff return for the Dragons across the 35-yard line.
Very interesting game. Concordia's passing game and Moorhead State's running game seem to be the keys. How well are the 2 defenses going to contain that particular phase as they get on the field?
And both coaches have to be happy with what they're getting out of their quarterback, because Ralph Mccully wants Brad Deere to run the option and run it well, and he's done that. Ryan Hebrink's more of a throwing quarterback, and he is throwing the ball pretty well today, too. Ellibold on the carry, but met immediately defensively by Tanner Oliphant. Or Checka Gilder, Eric Gilder, the senior.
Again, Moorhead State will be patient. They'll try to set things up. As you can see, they gained a yard or a yard and a half on that play, maybe 2. And they're not worried about that. They know that's going to set up the next part of that option game. The key, I think, will be outside linebackers for Concordia to be able to scrape off and get the quarterback when he comes down the line on the option.
Split backs for the Dragons against that 4-3 Cobber defense. Deere carries, and he's out to the 43 before a host of Cobber defenders are there. And there's a bunch of them.
He broke it back up inside, which normally the option series doesn't. He seemed to follow the back in there. And Concordia would like to do that and see that he doesn't get out on the corner.
Third and 3 for the Dragons. From their own 43. They trail 12-10 in the football game. We're in the 3rd quarter. The pitch to Wang. He fumbles
on
it.
the ground.
And it's still loose.
Moorhead State's ball.
I think the Dragons do have it back. And they do. On the bottom of the pile, Matt Anderson for the Dragons, number 74. But the Dragons will have to punt as they turn it over on downs on their first possession of the third quarter.
Adam Bacher is at strong corner.
There you see Anderson doing a good job of just tucking that ball underneath his chest. High snap. Punt is away, though. Nearly blocked, but they do get it away. It hit the helmet of a Dragon player. Then Clark lost it momentarily, but gets it back. We're in the third quarter in Power Bowl 3, where the Dragons trail the Cobbers 12 to 10. Dan Hammer, Jim Christopherson, and Rich Lodwick at Jake Christensen Field on the campus of Concordia College, where the Cobbers lead the Dragons 12 to 10. There you see Big Ben Holm, number 90, the Cobber defensive lineman. Josh Vickerman again out of this football game.
Ben's father, Tom Holm, played at Concordia.
That's right, back in the 70s, did he not? The give and a big hole for Schermerhorn. Ben Schermerhorn with a big game, and Josh Hagan made a touchdown-saving tackle there as the little guy from Bagley, Minnesota, continues to eat up yards in this football game.
It appears that Concordia is just blocking, base blocking, man-on-man blocking, and back is picking one side or the other of the middle guard there. And Schermerhorn, you know, has good quickness. He's a tailback, but he's playing fullback and is making good yardage for the Cobbers.
First down carry for Schermerhorn. Now the give to Clark. Clark trying to break a tackle. Does so. Gets inside the 50 to the 47, where he's brought down by Williams. Two very good running plays back-to-back for the Cobbers.
You notice Coach Horan didn't use Clark much in the first half.
No, he didn't.
Now he's giving him a little more playing time and giving that confidence.
And he sure has fresh legs here in the second half. 7-yard pickup for Clark. So the Cobbers are back in Dragons territory, leading 12-10 with 7.5 minutes to play here in the third quarter. Hebrink, play action fake, rolls to the far side, and Schermerhorn makes that catch at the
short gain, only about a yard.
Yep. 45, the pickup of 1, so they're looking at a 3rd and 2.
Gain of 2 makes it 3rd and 2.
It's been a seesaw football game. Dragons led 3-0. The Cobbers took the lead 6-3. Dragons were up 10-6. Cobbers now lead 12-10. 3rd and 2 for the Cobbers from the Dragons 45. Inside handoff to Schermerhorn.
The first down.
I think I agree with you, Jim. I think he's going to be about half a yard to a yard short. On the bottom of the pile there for the Dragons is big number 98, Jeremy Flatten, the 5'8", 255-pound nose guard from Mountains View.
Appears the punt team is going in, but you never know. Ball is inside the 45. It's a typical punt situation.
Belseth to handle the punting chores once again. Adam Roloff back deep for Moorhead, Minnesota State Moorhead. Belseth, the high, good-looking punt. Roloff fields and calls for the fair catch at his 9-yard line. Dragons will operate deep in their own territory. As you got a quick look at Vickerman along the Concordia sideline. Ralph Mccully, Kent McLeod, who played his college football with the Dragons and has been on the coaching staff for many, many years. We'll call it 1st and 10 at the 10 for the Dragons.
Look for Moorhead State to be very cautious with their running game. Try to probe and get something going down in this territory. So then they come out and throw the football.
Deere Great block there, cleared to the near sidelines, and then spins and is twisted out of bounds at about the 14-yard line. So he's going to pick up 4 yards, 4 or 5 yards on that play.
Of course, a pass play for Moorhead State and Concordia can end up being a running play with these guys.
Check out the block coming up right there. You saw it on the left-hand side of your screen. Yuri got 2 good blocks.
Nice
to get him to the
pursuit by
outside.
Ben Holm, the defensive tackle, to get over to the sideline and make part of the play there.
The give to Elevold this time, and he has about 2 yards, but a couple of Cobber defenders there immediately, including Brian Westby in on the initial tackle. Westby, a 230-pound junior from Spicer, Minnesota. So the Dragons are looking at a 3rd and 4. 5:25 and counting, 3rd quarter. The Cobbers 12 and the Dragons 10. Deer, option, turns it up, and he is met immediately by Ben Holm, the big guy out of Gillette, Wyoming. And the Cobbers make the stop, and they'll get the ball back into what should be pretty good field position.
Of course, Moorhead State had to be a little cautious starting on their own 9-yard line, and they just weren't able to put together the first down here. Nice pursuit there by Ben Holm again.
Satterley also in on the tackle for the Cobbers. John Frickman will handle the punting for the Dragons. Clark fields it at his 45. Met immediately. Oh, he keeps his feet. How about that? Clark to the near sideline. He's inside the 40-yard line.
Maybe that's the reason he gained 400 yards in one game in high school.
And now we have a flag that comes in the pile along the Cobbers sideline.
It's going to be 15 one way or the other. They couldn't tell what happened down along the sideline.
A 27-yard return for Bobby Clark, and he did that all individually.
He was being pushed backwards. There's no way he could gain any yards.
How was he able to keep his feet? Because the momentum is clearly carrying him backwards, and he was able to keep his balance.
Personal foul against Moorhead State. I can't tell what happened exactly there.
Here it is. Take a look at this. Clark looks like he is down and out on this play and somehow eludes the tackle of Jason Satter of the Dragons and get to the near sideline. What balance. So tack on the penalty, and the Cobbers are in business with a 1st and 10 at the Dragons 24. That is one of the most exciting plays of the game.
It certainly has been. The Power Bowl committee, I'm sure, will pick a play of the game or a player of the game. It'll be interesting to see who gets that.
Will the Cobbers go for a quick strike? They keep it on the ground.
Moorhead State was ready for that.
I guess they were. Big number 94, Nate Holzer, absolutely smothered Schermerhorn on that play. Holzer, a stout 6'1", 260.
And Moorhead State's defense has to come up big here because, you know, with a 2-point deficit, they don't want to see Concordia getting up by 9 points at this stage of the game.
A loss of 1 on that play. Hebrink, pump fake, looks downfield to the near sidelines, and he just throws that ball away. Again, a couple of receivers.
I didn't see a receiver there, but...
no, there was no receiver in that territory. About 10 yards further down the field, Joel Ferry was there, and also Jake Olson, but he may have just thrown that ball away.
He might have also been out of the pocket, which allows you to throw the ball away.
That's right.
It's a new rule that was put in a year or 2 ago. Similar to the pro rule.
So the Cobbers have a 3rd and 11. 3:34 and counting, 3rd quarter. The Cobbers leading the Dragons 12-10. Hebrink eludes the rush, looks downfield, chucks it up, and throws that ball out of bounds because Dave Sustersich was bringing good pressure for the Dragons, and so was Joel McHugh. So there's a heck of a stand by the Dragons defense.
Sir. And it looks like Concordia is going to go for it. I don't think they can attempt a field goal at this point. They're going to go for the first down. I don't think they want to punt the ball. They're on the 25-yard line.
Let me amend that, too. That's a heck of a stand through 3 plays anyway by the Dragon defense. Yeah, because this is 4th down.
That's the bonus of 4-down territory. You've got the 4th down now to work with.
Hurdle, split to the near side of the field. Schmidt, the receiver, to the far side of the field. The double slot for the Cobbers. Hebrink sucks it out to Schermerhorn. Turns it up. Schermerhorn, first down. All the way to the 9-yard line.
Well-conceived play, a screen pass. It started out like it was just a sprint out, but I noticed the offensive line drifted out into the flat, and they got the screen underneath there.
Oh, that's a big 4th down conversion for the Cobbers here as they are knocking on the door, already leading 12-10. Schermerhorn cuts it back as he had a host of Cobber blockers out in front of him.
I believe we've got Josh Thompson in the ball game, number 60. Try to check that, Dan. Was out the first half.
The Cobbers have it 1st and 10. It's just outside the 10, so in theory, they could still get a first down before they would cross the goal line here.
Defensive back, I believe, down for Moorhead State here. Did I see that right, that Brian Martyrdom was running that ball? There's a 6'5", 235-pound slot back coming around.
The instant replay doesn't lie there, Coach.
Exactly.
I can't get a number on the Dragon defender that's down right now, so I'm not even going to try to guess until we get a sure number or a confirmation.
Looks like a defensive back, but can't tell from here.
Josh Hagan, the strong safety from Crosby, North Dakota.
Strong safety. Appears to be an ankle or knee.
Well, that was a new twist out of the Cobbers set, the handoff to Martyrdom, the big tight end.
Right, I've never seen him run the football. He played tight end the last 3 years at Concordia, and Terry Horan is using all the receivers in a little different ways here, running that double slot offense.
They continue to look at Hagan, who is down at the 13-yard line. We're down to 2:49 here in the 3rd quarter with the Cobbers driving and leading 12-10.
I suppose field goal is a possibility, but I think the Cobbers are thinking touchdown all the way here.
As they tend to Hagan, we'll take a break. This is Powerball 3. Cobbers lead the Dragons 12-10. Back at Jake Christensen Field, where an injury has brought number 30, Nick Kiefer, onto the field for the Dragons defense. There you see him to the left side of your screen. Kiefer is a 5'10" junior from Cayuga, North Dakota.
Sure, the Cobbers would love to score, touchdown or field goal. Obviously, they'd like the touchdown. A field goal would help them as far as the margin. They're up only by 2 at this point, but and then they've got a little uncertainty with their kicking game with the field goals and extra points.
And Schermerhorn. I don't think the one stat is right, 339 yards. We'll double check that one. Here's Hebrink rolling out near sidelines and taken off and out of the play by Corey Hoppy, the linebacker from Graceville, Minnesota. So it'll be a 3rd down. Again, the Cobbers can get a first down. The first down marker would be the 1-yard line. That was a loss of 6 on the play, so they're backed up to the 14-yard line. Hurdle, split to the near side of the field. Schmidt to the far side. Again, the double slot. Schermerhorn, the lone back, now Ferry in motion. The give is to Schermerhorn, and he carries to about the 11-yard line.
Field goal team coming in.
And we'll get our first look at the Cobber field goal unit.
Jeremy Hendricks in there again. He missed the extra point. He's one of the rare straight-on kickers you'll see all year.
The Cobbers have missed both of their extra points in this football game. 2 touchdowns, but 12 points on the board. This is going to be a field goal of 28 yards. And he's got a pretty much straight-on kick. A little bit left to right. And it's blocked.
They can run this.
And Herndix recovers at the 25-yard line. So the Dragons hold and don't surrender any points.
We talked about that. The Moorhead State defense had a big assignment there, and they came up with a great series.
We'll see if we can identify the Dragon player or players who may have gotten a hand on that field goal.
It appeared to me like the ball was fairly low in its trajectory, and it may have gotten blocked right up the middle. See how low the ball is?
Yep. Well, that's one area of concern for the Cobbers here is their kicking game. They've had a field goal blocked. They've missed 2 extra points, but they still lead 12-10. As the Dragons take over with 1:28 to play here in the 3rd quarter. Pass is complete. Chad Davison out to the 30-yard line for the Dragons and a pickup of 5 on the play. Given out of bounds by Cross.
Gain of 5 on the play, makes it 2nd and 5.
Went out of bounds. Clock is stopped. Looks like Moorhead State isn't going to be content just to run the football. They're going to see if they can get something going with their passing game as well.
Swanson, we haven't heard from him much today. The most experienced Dragon receiver as Ellevold carries, but boy, there's nothing there. He got back to the line of scrimmage and maybe got a half yard.
That cutback play that Moorhead State ran so well in the first half, Concordia has handled it the last couple of times they've run it.
Third and 5 for the Dragons, who have just a second ago blocked a Cobber field goal attempt. Davison and Swanson now the receivers for the far side of the field. Ellevold and Wang, the running backs, between Deere, who rolls out to the far side, looks to turn it up, throws downfield, and it was too high and over the head. Intended for Swanson, but it was errant, and the Dragons will punt it away.
Max Strait, the defensive end for Concordia, did a fine job of containment there, making the quarterback, Deere, throw from the pocket. All right, we've got Clark back on punt returns again.
Clark stands at his 30. John Frickman punts it away for the Dragons. Clark will let this ball bounce. It does so at the 45. Takes a Dragon bounce and will come to rest at the 33-yard line. So that's where the Cobbers will take over with a 12-10 lead with just 25 seconds to play here in the 3rd quarter. The only score of this quarter coming on a Ryan Hebrink to Joel Ferry touchdown pass.
Well, Dan, I don't think we're going to see very many fans leave early to win this, huh?
We've got a game that looks like will go down right to the very end. You know, last year's game was, if you look at the score, a very close football game, 21-20, but because play was suspended on Saturday and resumed Monday, it really lost some fan interest, to be honest with you.
Played at 3:30 in the afternoon on a Monday.
The give to Ferry. Ferry, following his blockers, across the 35 to the 36.
I think we have a crowd of 5,000 or 6,000 fans here today, Dan.
Far side of the field is also three-quarters full, which in this game anyway is predominantly Dragon fans.
The last couple of years, this game has been played on Labor Day weekend. So a lot of students have gone home for the weekend, and of course this is a week later, and I think a lot of students are here today.
We've come to the end of the 3rd quarter in a seesaw football game. In the 79th meeting between these two Moorhead colleges, separated by just 5 blocks. We head to the 4th quarter. Concordia 12, Minnesota State Moorhead 10.
Welcome back. We're just about to start the fourth quarter. Josh Hagan, the safety for the Dragons, just a cramp problem, and he's back in the lineup.
Okay, Rich, that's good news. And we begin play here in the fourth quarter with the Cobbers on a 2nd and 8 from their own 36-yard line. Play action fake. Hebrink looks down the middle for Clark, and falls incomplete. Boy, not only was Clark there, but also Jake Olson, after the ball was tipped, looked like he might have a chance at that football, Jim.
Roloff did make a very good play to recover on that and knock the ball down.
Adam Roloff, a 4-year starter in the Dragons secondary, and watch number 34.
The well-thrown
right
ball, but
there. Actually,
Roloff
I think it
is
hit
there.
him in the helmet, didn't it?
Might have.
Re-rack that a little bit, guys. I think I hit him in the helmet. Sure it did.
He's in excellent position there.
Clark made a nice effort as well as he was falling away from the football. 3rd and 8. There's a flag. You know, we have not seen many flags today.
Moorhead
For the
State
first
had one.
game of the year, it's been pretty cleanly played.
It has been. I think that's Concordia's first penalty.
Moorhead, the Dragons had the unsportsmanlike conduct. And we also had 3 penalties in the first half. 2 on the Dragons, 1 on the Cobbers. So it's been a clean football game in that regard.
Very much so. Well, there was a personal foul on the sideline. That was the one major penalty. But, you know, these openers, you can expect a lot of jumping offside and things like that because the timing and everything just isn't there that it will be later on.
Procedure penalty on the Cobbers. That backs them up 5, and they look at a 3rd and 13 from their own 31. Leading 12-10 in the opening minute of the fourth quarter. Big rush put on. Hebrink avoids that. Now scrambles to the far sideline, turns it up, and wrestled hog-tied out of bounds over there on the far side of the field.
He was playing cautious there. He didn't want to throw the ball away and wanted to get back to as close to the line of scrimmage as he could.
Good pursuit by Big Joel McHugh, the Dragon defender there.
Yeah.
I mean, he was there on the corner to wrestle Hebrink out of bounds.
The Moorhead State defense has played very well here now in the third quarter, the last couple of series.
McHugh got him up around the shoulder pads.
Kicking game.
Low snap. Belseth gets it away. A spiraling punt that bounces at the 35 and then rolls out of bounds at the 28-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Dragons here. Just 25 seconds into the quarter.
The Dragons start out in a little better field position now from the 28-yard line. They started on the 9, if you recall, last series.
Swanson and Davison, the receivers to the far side of the field. Wang and Ellevold continue to be the backs. Ellevold the fullback. The pitch this time to Wang. Oh, the pitch was behind him, but he got it. Cannot get the corner there as Satterley brought him down defensively for the Cobbers. And Shane Satterley's had an active day for the Cobbers.
He has. One of the few times we've seen that option series get out action to the pitch. Most of the damage in the first half was done with Ellevold on the dive and quarterback on the keep.
Well, Wang had to slow up to actually receive that pitch, and the play kind of broke down at that point.
Right.
They lost a yard on the play, 2nd and 11. Greer rolling out, looking downfield. Davison's wide open. Oh, he dropped the football. Oh, is he going to dream about that? My goodness, Chad Davison had the defender beat. The throw was on target, and he flat out dropped it.
And he wasn't looking back into the sun. That wasn't the factor. Possibly the defensive back distracted him here. Let's take a look.
I don't know how so.
All the way. That ball was there.
That was just a clean miss, and you can see the frustration on Chad Davison's part.
You see Randy Moss and Chris Carter drop one once in a while?
They all miss.
They all do.
That's right. 3rd and 10. for the Dragons. We have some movement now along the line of scrimmage. Procedure penalty against the Dragons, which will back up additional 5 yards. They'll be looking at a 3rd and 16.
We're seeing Brad Deere drop straight back a little bit now. He normally has been a sprint out passer. Let's see what he does on this play.
Swanson to the near side of the field. Davison, the receiver, to the far side of the field for the Dragons. On this 3rd and 16 from their own 21. They trail in the football game 12-10. Deere across the middle. That pass intended for Rich Pekowski, the big fullback from Finley, but it was high, and the Dragons will have to punt. Here it is, Jim.
Dropping straight back. Looks like a tight end delay underneath.
Boy, he's open
behind him. He would have had a first down probably on that play.
Look at the middle of the field.
Yes.
Now, there's not a Cobber defender in sight on that replay. Brickman with the punt. Spiral that Clark lets bounce at the 42, then picks up at the 35. Heads to the near sidelines and get to the 43 before being driven out of bounds by the Dragons' Jonathan Wise. We're in the 4th quarter. The 79th meeting between the Dragons and the Cobbers, and the Cobbers lead 12-10. Terry Horan on your left, his first career head coaching game today. Ralph Mccully on the right in his 9th year as the head coach of the Dragons. The Cobbers begin with good field position from their own 43. 13:30 remaining in the football game. Schermerhorn stopped immediately by Joel Zylstra.
Moorhead State has done a better job of stopping the fullback inside this half now.
Yes, he has. Loss of 1 on the play on the stop by Zylstra. Number 1, Jeff Hurdle. There he is. Entered this season, this fall camp, as the number 1 quarterback, but is seeing a lot of playing time today. Schermerhorn has rushed for 53, caught passes for 39, so more than 90 yards on the day. Hebrink looks down for Raleigh Schmidt, and it's picked off at the 30-yard line. The Dragons come up with the interception. It's the old seasoned veteran Adam Roloff in his 4th year as a starter.
Underthrown football a little bit.
Ooh, we have a penalty marker on the play.
Oh.
And it's against the Dragons.
That'll nullify the play.
Against the Dragons. That ball was well underthrown.
Not sure why the ball would be placed down here. Maybe it was after the interception. It'll be paced off against Moorhead State from that point. A dead ball foul.
There you go, Jim. You hit the nail right on the head. So that'll back it up to the 15-yard line.
Signal down here was no dead ball. If it was, that's fine. That's correct. That's why I asked you about it.
1st and 10 for the Dragons on their 15-yard line.
12:50 to play in the football game. You get a good look at the Cobbers and along the bench.
Nice to see Josh Thompson back in playing. Senior year, he doesn't want to miss many games. Did he?
Here, under center, runs the option, breaks outside, nice move, gets by a tackler, and he's all the way out to the 25-yard line before being brought down on the play by Andy Schaefer.
Schaefer did a good job of pursuing across. That could have broken for some pretty good yardage there.
That's a more than a 9-yard gain, almost a first down carry.
It is,
and it is a first down carry for Tony Deere. Boy, his per carry average today continues to be excellent.
It's well over 6 to 7 yards per carry.
First and 10 from the 25. Here this time, the handoff to Cody Wang. He bounces it outside. Look at Brad Deere get out there and try to lay a block on a Cobbers defender, but
Satterley made an excellent play.
See Brad Deere there?
Was that Satterley or was it Belson? Here we go. We'll watch it on the rerun now and see. He bounced it outside.
Look at Brad Deere getting out here, trying to lay a block.
That's Belseth making the play.
Second and 9 for the Dragons. Deere, option inside, got across the 30. Pick up about 3 on the play. Third and 5. The Dragons, who have yet to score here in the second half of this football game. They took the lead late in the second quarter, 10-6. They trailed 12-10. Deere dragged down on the play and wrestled down by Eric Gilder. Gilder got the ankle and said, I'm not letting you loose of you.
The Cobber defense has stiffened up in this half as well. Gilder.
Had the ankle. Barry Bennett came in late to make sure that Deere would not escape from the ankle tackle. Brickman back to punt for the Dragons. High punt. Clark watches it bounce at the 40, takes a Cobber bounce, and the Cobbers will have good field position at their 45-yard line. We're moving to the 10-minute mark of the quarter, 10-11 to play in this football game.
Neither team is going to get many more opportunities to score here. Both Concordia and Moorhead State have got to make the best of their opportunities now, and of course Concordia with this small lead here is kind of playing a little cautious, I'm sure.
Cobbers continue to work out of the double slot. Hebrink up top. Pass intended for, but just off the fingertips of Schmidt.
Well thrown ball. I think the corner, I can't tell who it was.
Desmond Daniels.
Daniels played it pretty well. He's in good position. The ball has to be thrown over the defensive corner here.
Daniels, number 24, is a freshman from Riverside, California.
It would have been a tough catch. Schmidt seems to be holding his wrist. I don't know if he
left the field, as you see him there on the sidelines. Hurdle, the receiver to the far side of the field. Jake Olson to the near side. They give to Schermerhorn. He has room up the middle. Inside the 40 to the 36-yard line. Then Schermerhorn gives the Cobbers a big pickup on second down.
Very big call there by the coaching staff for Concordia.
18 yards.
Safe play. You can't afford an interception at that point, and Schermerhorn gave them the yardage they needed on that draw play.
Well, the Cobbers operate from the Dragons 37, already leading in this football game, 12-10. Again, the handoff, this time to Ferry. He carries it to the 35, a pickup of 2 on the play.
I would think Concordia is looking at that clock a little bit. The more time they can run off that clock, keep the ball on offense, even if they relinquish the ball, give it up down deep in territory and make the Dragons drive a long distance, although a field goal can win it at this point.
Just a 2-point football game. After the Cobbers missed
the 2 extra points, looking bigger all the time.
110 yards total offense today for Ben Schermerhorn, who has the carry here, and he's hanging on a few more. He's spinning to the 30-yard line.
Another Barry Sanders, it looks like we've got here.
Give him 75 yards rushing on the day and 39 yards receiving. Now, when I say he's little, I'm just talking about height.
Yeah.
You know, Schermerhorn Horan is 5'7", but he goes 180.
You watch him in the weight room, and he's not small. He's a very strong young man.
Here's a key down for the Cobbers. 3rd and 4. From the Dragons 30. The give to Clark. Clark has the first down and more inside the 20 to the 17-yard line. Bobby Clark has had some valuable carries here in the second half for the Cobbers.
Well, those fresh legs, like you said, Dan, very good. We haven't seen Joel Ferry carry the ball as much. He carried a little bit more in the first half. It also adds a little variety and diversity to the offense with more backs able to carry the football here. I can see why this guy was an outstanding high school player.
Pretty smooth, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Hebrink, this time inside handoff to Schermerhorn, and the Cobber offensive line now really getting a good push off the football and a good positive pickup of about 7-8 yards by Schermerhorn.
That's the heart of Moorhead State's defense, too. They're strong up the middle. Although Concordia's offensive line, at least 4 of those guys played last year, so have had a lot of experience.
Of course, the Cobbers lost a couple of outstanding offensive linemen, Joel Nelson
and Dustin and
Kwame.
Kwame. Dustin Little is playing that center now.
2nd and 1 after the 9-yard pickup by Schermerhorn. Touchdown for the Dragons, or the Cobbers. It's Olsen. Jake Olsen, the wide receiver out of Crookston, Minnesota, was wide open in the end zone. The Cobbers build their lead.
You notice that Hebrink was very patient there. Nobody was open right away. And he delayed his throw, and Olsen worked his way open. Watch, he holds off here.
Good protection. Boy, and Olsen got behind the Dragons secondary much like Ferry did on Ferry's second touchdown of the day. So sophomore quarterback Ryan Hebrink throws his 3rd touchdown of the afternoon. This one coming with 7:15 to play in the 4th quarter. Let's see if the Cobbers can convert a point after. Well, the snap was low.
Might get a face mask.
And they cannot.
Well,
so if there's one glaring aspect to this game that the Cobbers would not like, it's the point after attempts. They're 0 for 3. And with 7:15 to play in the 4th quarter, the Cobbers, that's not the right score you see there, but actually the Cobbers lead this football game 18-10. Back at Jake Christensen Field, where the Cobbers extend their lead over the Dragons to 18-10. But will their missed point afters come and be a major factor in this game? Because theoretically, the Dragons could score a touchdown, add a 2-point conversion, and tie this football game.
And then we've got overtime possibly. So that's what makes a coach tear his hair out all early season, is you don't have all the answers to the kicking game. And of course, last year we had the very dependable Eric Wold, at least for the extra points and short-range field goals. And it'll take time. They'll get it ironed out.
The Cobbers go 54 yards in 7 plays in 2 minutes and 41 seconds, and that drive capped off. Hebrink to Jake Olsen for the touchdown. Here's Brad Deere on the day, 4 of 9. Rushing numbers continue to be good. 17 carries, 88 yards. Dragons need to find some positives offensively now.
Completed
and that pass is complete on a 1st down play to Davison. Gain of 6 yards. The Cobbers have outscored the Dragons 12-0 here in the second half after trailing 10-6 at the half. 2nd and 4 for the Dragons, operating from their own 41-yard line. Inside handoff to
close to the
Cody
first down.
Wang, and I think he will have the first down as he crossed the 45 and was brought down at the 46-yard line. In on the tackle for the Cobbers. First man up off the pile is Derek Klan, the 6'1" junior defensive tackle from Lake Lillian, Minnesota.
That would be Bold High School. They've got a rich football tradition down
sure
there.
Do. New set of downs for the Dragons as they approach midfield, trailing 18-10. Clock becoming a factor now. 6 minutes left. The ball intended for Davison. Will we have a flag there? Dragons were looking for one.
Incidental contact, I believe.
Adam Bacher, the senior cornerback, who wears number 5, was in on the coverage there for the Cobbers. That's Adam right there.
There's a young man who's waited 3 years for his chance to start. He's doing very well as a senior starter at cornerback.
Terry Horan continues to pace those sidelines.
I know what Horan is going through.
Putting miles not only out of those shoes, but on that turf.
And Coach Mccully is
back and forth he goes.
Both gay guys are in this ball game. Very far from being over.
2nd and 10 for the Dragons. Here option. Pitches.
Got the pitch with
and he pitched it nicely to Wang, who had the
first
sideline in the corner. So a finely executed play by quarterback Brad Deere.
The corner had to come off the pitch there. It looked like Deere was going to keep the ball, and then the pitch got outside him up the sideline.
12-yard pickup for Cody Wang, and on the replay, check out Brad Deere as he holds it. And once the 2 defenders commit to him, pitches nicely to Cody Wang. So the Dragons get inside Cobber territory. We're under 6 minutes to play in the football game. The Cobbers 18, the Dragons 10. Concordia looking to break a 3-year losing streak in this series. Swanson, man in motion to the near side of the field. Inside handoff to Elevold. He twists and turns for about 3. Met on the play by Barry Bennett. Also a couple other Cobber defenders on the bottom of the pile, including Andy Schaefer.
Moorhead State came in with 2 tight ends on that play to spread them out.
Like some confusion between Deere and
the
play coming in from the Dragons sideline. As Davison comes in motion, pitches on the ground. Can Wang get it back? Yes. But that'll be a loss of 4 yards. You know, that did not look good even from prior to them breaking the huddle. Looked like some miscommunication between the sideline
on that.
And some uncertainty.
They were fortunate to get the play off. It was down to about 1 second. Actually, it was about a 6-yard loss there, making it 3rd and 12.
Big play, and you might be able to hear the Cobber fans as they know this could be a key play for their defense in the final outcome of this football game. Cobber fans on their feet on the south side of the stadium. A 3rd and 12 for the Dragons from the Cobber 44. Davison in motion to the near side of the field.
Draw.
Sprint he might have Cody Wang. He's outside, inside the 35, driven out of bounds.
On the play, too.
We'll see what the penalty is. Some initial Cobber reaction would make you believe that it's on the Dragons, and it is.
Now, does that come from the point of infraction or from the line of scrimmage? I guess point of infraction wouldn't help Concordia very much. Then Moorhead State would get the down over.
It'll still be 3rd down for the Dragons.
Yeah, it was about a 5-yard penalty, essentially, right from the line of scrimmage.
3rd and a bunch. They need to get to the 32. They operate from the 49. 3rd and 17. Deere looks up top, intended for Davis. Oh, he had it on his hands momentarily, but could not really put the grip on it.
It would have been a great catch to come up with it, but it was catchable.
And the Dragons will have to punt it away with time becoming a real factor in this football game. We're down to 4:15 to play.
Fisher was in pretty good position there. It had to be a perfectly thrown pass to be completed, and it was almost there.
Here it is. As you see it go off his fingertips. He had it. Would have been a great catch.
Great catch.
Brickman back in punt position. Clark, the return man for the Cobbers. Brickman with a high punt down the middle of the field. Clark comes up and lets it bounce at the 20, and the Cobbers will corral it there at the 18-yard line. We're down to 4:05 to play in the latest edition of this storied rivalry between the Cobbers and the Dragons. And the Cobbers lead 18-10. 18-10 Cobbers, 4:05 to play. This is a huge series for Concordia. They don't have good field position. They start at their 15. The Cobbers will look to, at the very least, Jim, get a couple of first downs here and get some field position.
Two things: get field position and run some time off the clock. We're down under 4 minutes at this point.
A short carry there, a pickup of a little more than a yard. Clark carried for the Cobbers.
Moorhead State might be looking at using one of their timeouts pretty soon, so the Cobbers don't run that clock down too far.
Second and 9.
Let's watch Hebrink and see if he uses his clock.
Martadam in the slot. Ferry in motion. They had two.
That was a smart thing by Hebrink there. We had some confusion. Two guys going in motion.
Yeah, Martadam started in motion, took a step and stopped, and then Ferry also went in motion.
That was a smart call by Ryan.
So Hebrink will come to the sidelines where he's greeted by a trio of Cobber coaches, including Bobby Nick, the Cobbers offensive coordinator, head coach Terry Horan also there, and Dan Kostic as well.
Defensive players, as well as the touchdown for charity total.
Well, you got the entire offensive brain trust down on the sideline there now. Talking with Hebrink and the offensive players.
Well, how would you grade Ryan Hebrink's first career start, Coach?
Just outstanding. We saw him last year as a freshman on the JV team and playing a little bit on the varsity late in the year. There was no doubt he was going to be an outstanding quarterback. And I didn't watch fall practice, two-a-days and so on, and I can see why the coaching staff came up with him as their starter. And I admire the way they've utilized Jeff Hurdle, who was a starter, in a receiving role.
And he's played a lot today, and he's far to the right. Ferry this time in motion out of the slot to give to Horn. He cuts it up the middle, keeps his feet across the 20 to the 25.
He's about a yard short.
Near first down yardage. Why, Horn has shown a real knack for keeping his feet. He's built low to the ground with that 5'7", 180 frame, but he has a good sense of balance.
He isn't approaching 100 yards by any
Well, we're going to get his
He had 53 the first half.
Third and 1 for the Cobbers. With 2:45 to play in the football game, and the Cobbers leading 18-10. Clark has the first down and more. Across the 40, he leapfrogs him in. He's inside the 40, inside the 30 to the 22-yard line. Bobby Clark, the kid who rushed for more than 400 yards in one Montana prep game, breaks a big one for the Cobbers here that puts them deep in Dragon territory.
It now allows Concordia to run the ball 3 times, run time off the clock, and at least make Moorhead State use their timeouts. So that was a huge play, one of the biggest plays of the game there.
That coming on a 3rd and 1, and Jim and I, after this game, will announce the power play of the game, and certainly that has to receive strong consideration.
I guess so.
So the Cobbers operate now with a 1st and 10 from the 21, and we're down to 2:09 to play in the football game.
Look for Moorhead State to use their timeouts here pretty quick. Yeah, they did.
They used one of them. will break away. 2 minutes to play in the football game. The Cobbers deep in Dragon territory, leading 18-10. There you see the numbers. 2 minutes left. Dragons trailing 18-10. Second at 9 for the Cobbers at the Dragons 20. The Cobbers looking to end a 3-game losing streak in Terry Horan's debut as the Cobber head coach. Inside handoff to Clark, and he is met and dragged down on the play by Hagan.
They're taking a timeout. Smart thing to stop the clock. Keep some time on the clock in case they get the ball back here. Concordia has to look at, do they throw the football and throw an incomplete pass, which stops the clock? And obviously on 4th down, of course, a field goal.
Well, take us inside of Bobby Nick's head. I mean, what do you think we can look forward here on 3rd and 7?
I think they'll be conservative and look at the field goal, even though they haven't been successful on the field goal, on the extra points and field goals.
How about those numbers for Bobby Clark today? 7 rushes, 85 yards, and 70 of those rushing yards coming in the second half.
And I don't know
4 carries, 70 yards rushing in the second half for Bobby Clark.
And that long gainer of 30 or 40 yards, whatever it was huge. To get them out of the hole, get them a first down, and keep the clock going down here.
Schermerhorn's over 100 yards total offense today, and so is Bobby Clark. If you take a look at rushing and receiving combined.
2 young men that didn't play much last year, didn't play any varsity ball, played junior varsity football.
Well, the Cobbers had a key 3rd and 1 earlier, and Clark ripped off the big gainer. Now they come up to the line of scrimmage with a 3rd and 7 with a $1:52 to play.
Bootleg.
Hebrink, and great pursuit on the play.
Well played defensively by
the Dragons linebacker. Matt Bosch, number 48, was in on Hebrink immediately. So the Dragons come up with a big stop, and a loss of the play puts the Cobbers at 4th and 10. There's Bosch.
Played. That's the last time out by Moorhead State, I believe.
Well, Jim, your kicking game in terms of field goals and extra points, if you're a Cobber, has not been good today. You're at 4th and 10.
Well, I think you still try the field goal. You got a chance to put yourself up by 11 points.
And that's what
if you miss the extra or the field goal, it comes back to the 20-yard line anyway.
They're going to go for it.
They're going to go for it. Offensively.
They are going to go for it.
I can see why. You know, they haven't been successful with their field goal team.
No, or their point after. It's been a tough day for Jeremy Hinderks, the sophomore kicker, who has missed 3 extra points and had a field goal block.
He'll get better at that, and I'm sure it's a team play, of course. There are a lot of things that can go wrong.
4th and 10 for the Cobbers. The draw to Schermerhorn. He's short of the first down.
The clock stops now. That's 4th down on the turnover or the changeover throw.
Tackle made on the play again by Bosch. So Matt Bosch makes 2 consecutive big stops for the Dragons.
This is going to be
Moorhead State needs to score a touchdown and convert a 2-point conversion, and they have 1:40 to do it.
To go 83 yards with no timeouts. This is going to be a real interesting 1:40 here. Obviously, Moorhead State will have to open it up here, go into some kind of a 2-minute offense, I would think.
The Dragons need to go a long way to try to take this game into overtime. Passes in out of the hands of Davison. And
that was a catchable ball there.
Chad Davison has had one of those days that you'd like to forget about as a receiver.
Yeah, well, that would have been a first down and would have stopped the clock with moving the chains.
And the ball was there. He was open. And again, he just could not make the grab. 1:35 to play. Davison and Swanson to the near side of the field. Chad Hyde to the far side. That pass nearly picked off by Brian Westby, the linebacker. Falls incomplete, and suddenly and quickly the Dragons are at 3rd down.
They're at the point now where they've got to use their 3rd and 4th down to keep the ball in possession here.
Two receivers again to the near side of the field. Straight drop this time for Deere. He looks downfield to Davison, and he dropped it again.
Super play by Scott Belseth.
May have been knocked out of his hands by Belseth,
number 13,
at the 40-yard line. And the Dragons are down to what would be their last play of the football game. Let's check it out here.
Watch
Belseth get a piece?
That's a very big play there.
Big play.
He avoided contact, which could have, been the interference, and I don't know if he hit the ball or not. I think he probably knocked the ball away from the
4th and 10 for the Dragons. They need a first down to keep their diminishing hopes alive. They trail 18-10.
Quarter draw.
Here, quarterback draw, and he's dragged down by
Andy Schaefer.
Andy Schaefer, the linebacker. And the Cobbers begin to celebrate because with 1:18 left, they can just run out the clock and end a 3-year losing skid in this series.
They can't stop the clock now because the timeouts have been used.
Cobbers can just run out the clock. The Dragons came into this football game hoping that they might be able to, for the first time ever, win 4 straight for the Cobbers in this series.
Right. And when you look at 79 years, that's a long time.
Ryan Hebrink, 3 touchdown passes on the day. Joel Ferry, 2 touchdown catches. Ben Schermerhorn, over 100 yards total offense. Bobby Clark, over 100 yards total offense.
And you know what? All players that didn't play a year ago.
And all 4
varsity
contribute greatly today.
Joel Ferry, I'll take it back. Yeah, but he was hurt and playing behind Broughton quite a bit last year. So he really wasn't a starter the whole season.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Watch me.
Terry Horan.
Terry's done a masterful job of putting things together. I will say this, the Cobber defense has played very, very well today.
There was one stretch in the second quarter where it looked like the Dragons were really starting to gain control of the line of scrimmage. And Brad Deere was racking up yards left and right on the option. But I'll tell you what, in the second half,
came together and defended them very well.
The second half, the Cobber defense pitches a shutout. The Dragons led 10-6 at the half. And they don't have to run another play.
This is reminiscent of the Cobbers in 1997, I think winning 17-7 on this field. And since then, it's been all Moorhead State the last 3 years.
Well, now a Cobber celebration in the middle of the field. The helmets hoisted high as the Cobbers defeat their arch rivals, the Dragons, 18-10 in this 79th meeting.
I'm impressed that Concordia, without some of their players, too, that were injured, were able to come up with this effort. They're going to get those kids back here in 2 or 3 weeks and be at full strength.
Well, defensively, the Cobbers came into this football game without Travis Olson, arguably their best athlete. They lost defensive back Josh Vickerman early in the football game, and yet they're able to shut out the Dragons in the second half and help them carry them to the victory.
They got Josh Thompson back in the second half in the offensive line. That helped quite a bit, I'm sure. Coach Mccully now has conference play with Concordia St. Paul next week, so they can turn all their thoughts now to playing conference teams. Some years they've had to play 2 or 3 non-conference games early, and that's hard to focus your team on your conference games that are so important.
Coach Horan, got to have an awfully good feeling.
To get that first win as a college coach.
Yep.
He deserves it.
Win number 1 as a college head coach comes against your arch rival.
This also helps bring the Cobber attention to their first conference game next week, which is played here against St. Thomas.
Let's go to the field and Rich Lodwick. Rich?
Okay, Ryan Hebrink, your first collegiate start, 3 touchdown passes and a win. You've got to be on just an all-time high right now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, this is the greatest feeling when we had a fourth down, and it was about 10 down on our side down there, and we ran a screen play, and we got it, and the crowd noise was just unbelievable. I mean, that feeling is just great.
Ryan, they threw everything at you today, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I mean, sometimes it's a little difficult to pick up what coverage they were in, but we talked about it on the sidelines. They kind of figured it out and looked for the swing guys and across the middle a little bit.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ryan. And Bobby Clark, second half, you owned it. Congratulations. What went right in that second half? You were able to run the ball a little bit better against this Dragon defense.
We picked up the intensity a lot on the line, and I think that we're just doing a lot of counters, and it's just got the defense off-centered, and Ryan was audible the ball to the weak side, and that's where we ran, and that's how we got the big play.
Not only is this a season-opening win, but it's a win in the rivalry, and it gets your season off. Comment on how big this is.
This is huge. This is tradition football. I mean, they've been battling each other for 87 years, so this is the biggest rivalry around.
All right, thanks a lot, Bobby Clark and Ryan Hebrink, two of the stars today.
Okay, Rich, thank you very much. And as you said, Jim, two sophomores, Ryan Hebrink and Bobby Clark, and I think we alluded to it earlier in the football game, but they certainly are valuable people to build your offense around for the next few years for Concordia.
It bodes well for this season. You know, they're going to get better each game this year, but then they're back for 2 more years after that, too. And those are outstanding football players to build your program around.
Well, Jim and I are going to come back in a minute and share with you our power play of the game as the Cobbers have defeated the Dragons here today in Power Bowl 3, 18-10.
It was a very good football game for an early season game like this. Well played. 2 turnovers, but both teams played very hard.
We'll be back in a minute.
Contribution to its scholarship.
Welcome back to Jake Christensen Field, where the Cobbers have defeated the Dragons 18-10. We take you to field level now for the presentation of the Power Bowl Trophy.
Next, Tom Heller will present the awards for Power Bowl 3's most electrifying offensive and defensive players. Today's most electrifying offensive player is Ben Schermerhorn from Concordia. And today's most electrifying defensive player is Andy Schaefer from Concordia. Congratulations to Ben Schermerhorn and Andy Schaefer. And now for the presentation of the Power Bowl Trophy. Moorhead Public Service and Missouri River Energy Services proudly salutes today's winning team, the Concordia Cobbers. Accepting the Power Bowl Trophy on behalf of Concordia is President Thomas Thompson. Congratulations, Cobbers.
First, I want to say thank you to everyone who came on both sides. We thank MSUM for the great game they gave to us. They've got a great season ahead. I want to be sure to thank the fans that are up there first. Thank you for your participation and help today. Second, we want to make sure that we thank all the players here. It was a teamwork effort that did this, so let's thank them. And finally, we must thank our new head coach, Coach Horan, for this great win.
Seniors, where are the seniors? Hey, right here, this is yours, guys.
Well, here you go. Some of the players who are recognized for their contributions in today's Cobbers 18-10 win over the Dragons. And we have one also. Jim and I have selected our power play of the game. The Cobbers had a 3rd and 1 late in the game, deep in their own territory, and Jim, Bobby Clark really sealed this game.
I think they were looking just to get the first down at this point. And look at Clark breaks it open here for, I'm not sure what the yardage was, about 40 yards or more. That had to be the big play of the game, in my opinion.
So Bobby Clark, the sophomore running back from Seeley Lake, Montana, is the Missouri River Energy Services power play of the game. Jim, it's been a lot of fun today.
It's been tremendous. What a different perspective being up here with you here, but I've enjoyed it, and it's real fun to watch this game, which is such a tradition here.
Terry Horan's first win as a collegiate head coach, and your first day as a budding broadcaster.
Right. Dennis Miller on Monday night, better watch out. But I congratulate Terry and his staff and all of the Cobber players. And Moorhead State played a very tough, a well-played game defensively, and you know, it's one of those games that could go either way. Well played.
Power Bowl 3. Jim, it's been a pleasure working with you.
Thank you.
Power Bowl 3, the 79th meeting goes to the Cobbers. The final score again today, Concordia 18, Minnesota State Moorhead 10. Thanks for watching Power Bowl 3.